Keshe Foundation, an independent, non-profit, non-religious, space-based organization founded by nuclear engineer Mehran Tavakoli Keshe, is introducing to humanity the science of the universe, plasma science. Keshe Foundation develops universal knowledge and space technologies that provide solutions to major global problems, revolutionizing agriculture, health, energy, transportation, materials, and more. The application of plasma science in the form of specially developed plasma reactors and other devices will give humanity the real freedom to travel in deep space. Plasma science exists throughout the whole universe. It is here and it belongs to you. Our knowledge, research, and development regarding the plasma structure has progressed to the point of enabling everyone to participate in the process. Become a creator and understand the work of the universe for the good of humankind on this planet as well as in space. The use of megravs, nanomaterials, GANs, liquid plasma, field plasma, and other plasma technologies have come as a new dawn for humanity to progress and work in harmony with the universe. Conventional technology applications are wasteful, damaging, and cause pollution to the planet and all living beings. Plasma science provides solutions and improves existing methods and use of resources in all aspects that touch the lives of all beings. Plasma is defined by the Foundation as an entire content of fields which accumulate and create matter and is not defined by its physical characteristics like ionization or temperature. Also, with plasma science, we understand how we can convert matter back to the fields. Quoting from Mr. Keshe, MEGRAV stands for magnetic gravitational, which means plasma absorbs or gives. And every plasma has the both. It has give and it has take. And when they can't find the balance, they distance themselves until they find the balance they can give to the others. That they can receive what they want to receive and give further. Certain atoms and molecules release and absorb magnetic or gravitational fields. Released fields are available to be absorbed by other objects. The Keshe Foundation has developed a way to gather these free-flowing fields from the environment within a resourceful and beneficial new state of transitional matter, which M.T. Keshe named GANs. The first step of the process of the formation of various basic types of GANs is nano-coating metals. This is carried out either chemically by etching, steam coating with sodium hydroxide, or thermally by heating, fire coating by gas burner. During either coating process, gaps between outermost layers of atoms are created. The residual coating is often referred to as nano-coating, defined by the structured layers of nanomaterial, which build up during the creation process of the coating. Nano-coated metal in interaction with other various metal plates in a saltwater solution creates megrav fields. These fields then attract available elements to form a specific GANs, which collects and settles at the bottom of the container. This GANs is formed from independent energized molecules like little suns that can be used in various applications.
Welcome everyone to the 192nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, October 5th, 2017. And once again, we'll have Mr. Kesh of the Kesh Foundation Spaceship Institute speaking to us. And I understand today's particular topic will be plants, also known as the vertical people. And I think we're ready to begin today's proceedings. Hello, Mr. Kesh. Do you want to take it away?
Yes. Good morning. Thank you very much, Rick. Good morning to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to these knowledge seekers programs. As you're aware, we have started the teachings in a matter of matter. And through that, we have shown that the soul of the man is made through the same process, and there is no difference in the process of creation in the universe. Some of the things which we'll talk about today is again part of the teaching which some of the knowledge seekers in the private teaching have already come across, or they need to know to be able to understand, to further their education of understanding the work of the universe. In so many ways, this had to be done this way, and we carry on by the same path. But today we try to bring an addition to the knowledge to understand more in depth how we look at the plants, what we look at food to us, or flowers we look at, or the trees we use their what we call the physical bodies for different applications of human use. How do they feel? How do their soul has come about to exist? And do they actually create themselves to be used in a way they sacrifice their life for us or others, animals or whatever, to give us a chance to survive and have a comfort life? Do they reproduce themselves knowing that with that they elevate the soul of the others? For example, we know how plants can literally destroy themselves, can die. They can create a condition that if in a position they don't want to be, not to be. But how come they exist? That they know through their existence they give life to another being. Be the bee as the sap, be it the, let's say, cow as a grass, be it the food man eats. What is the soul of the plant? Where does it start? How does it come about? How do we understand this? And how do we have to accumulate this knowledge into the knowledge of a space? You got to understand the life of the man, the life of the plant, and the life of the animals all started from the same point. Why have we taken different directions? What process has made the new creation? And if you understand this, how in one environment, something like 6 different generations of life exist simultaneously, at least 6, then we come to understand the process of the creation in the universe. We have to understand our own companions on this planet, which are or were created at the same time as us, as human race, as the other animals. We understood the use of or the presence of copper has led to the split of the body of the man in 2 halves, left and right, because that's the behavior of the copper. It has a balanced use, balanced energy in comparison, in presence of ganses. But what happened with the plants? As we know, we have a life we call a life of a plant, which is very much the life that we as totality have accepted. But what about other lives? We know we are in the middle of the stack. We are not top of the animals. We know as human race or the animals, four-legged animals, or what I call horizontal people, there are those who exist above us, the floating people, the floating life, which we are aware of. We've talked about before about it, that in a way as a bottom eaters, we use their bodies, their existence to elevate our own souls and our own bodies. This is something which we never considered because we always looked within and we were proud of our own creation to be what we call the king of the animals, or what we call in Arabic, Ashraf Makhluqat, which means the head of the animals in Farsi. We have to understand the process. The faster we find the reality, we confirm and conform within the operation of the universal systems, the faster we as a race become part and understand the totality of the operation of universal community. Universal community is not to go into space and find others. Universal community is the people who we are the bottom meter of, what are called the floating people, the vertical people, the floats, what we call the fish which lives in the sea, the ones who are in the air, the existence of life within the center of the planet, within the layers of the planet. We are not just as we see worms, we see animals who live beneath the ground. And as I said in many research talks, as now the scientists explain to us, they have found life 10,000 meters within the earth, which means life exists in every level. It's just that we have to understand the condition that this life has come to live, how it finds itself, how it finds the condition of its environment to confirm its existence and mutate to be able to exist within that environment. Once we understand these layers of life in human mental condition of knowledge, then we'll see it'll be the same for every other race in the space. Then the space opens its eyes to us, because now we have become unconditionally accepting that life is not just because what we thought, just us and the fish and few animals we see like worms and maybe trees, and that's it. If we can see the atmosphere of this planet can support composite lives the way we see it now, we understand more of it from the center to the outer, then it's easy to understand there are other lives beyond the atmospheric condition of this planet. And then we have to understand how they're composed, how they come to live. And the moment we respect the life of every being on this planet and beyond, is the time when we mature. We become true human beings, we become true members of the universal community. In so many ways, it's very hard. It's so many ways we have been used to eating, consuming, abusing every living things on this planet as our right, that we have lost the inside. We have lost the reality that as a what we call human being in charge, in control of our own existence, we can go a step further in that we do not need to consume, we did not need to destroy. But is this justified? That what's going to happen when I only learn to eat or use energy from the space, not energy from within the planet, which is already prepared for me as package of energy. As long as we do not understand or try to understand the totality of the work of the universe and understand that we have access, we have the pleasure, we have the knowledge, we have everything which goes for man to use the universal energy without killing or destroying another life, then we can go to the next step. Until at that point we don't understand this, we will not progress. And it's a habit of millions of years. We see, I stop eating. What about the cat? What about the fish? What about the tree which is eating? Then can we adjust the process that they receive energy as they like, they might mutate to a new condition, but to stop what we have stopped? Or do we just elevate ourselves that we understand and we don't, we change the system that we don't eat other beings, or entities, and we leave the fish and the lion to do what they like. Then this become unbalanced. Then when our, what I call next generations, see the animals, they want to repeat it because it's easy catch. It has a different pleasure. It brings a lot of other things to them. So we have to understand the totality of life on this planet. This is why today I would like to teach, if we can, to myself and maybe others with me, learn the process of the soul of the plants. And then we go one step further. In so many ways, the mankind has to change course. The mankind has to understand is not the user, but it becomes the protector. And in that phase is when we really change the course on this planet. We have considered ourselves to be the kings of animals and do everything. We tame them, we cage them, we fish them, we cut them. Once we understand the process of the energy consumption, would we not better to teach them, to accommodate for them to receive that they don't eat, they don't kill, they don't consume? But there's another point. Is the planet Earth is the only place where people eat each other? When I call people, to me, a plant, a tree, a dog, a fish, is all counts as people. They are the population of this planet. So, is this planet the only place? More or less, exception a few, yes. But they consume different ways. So, do we need to pass this point? Yes, we do. Do we need to understand how to change the course? We have to learn. Teachings like this, and by the others, has been the prelude to coming to that point. And, as I've said many times in the teachings, go back to the writing of the Prophet of the past. Die shall not kill. Shall not kill a fish, shall not kill a lamb, shall not cut a tree, shall not eat. Are the things that by killing them, you end a cycle of a soul, not the physicality of the body. Can we kill a soul? Yes, we can. Those who gain the knowledge in the future, they understand that's the last thing you ever do. Can a soul die? Yes, as I explained before, yes. But can we be the cause of his death? It can be done. And it's only done through the position of balance when the soul sacrifices itself. Not for man or for another soul to end the life. These are the things which we have to understand. These are the processes we have to understand. But first of all, we have to mature as a human race. How we can change the course. How we can stop hunger. But not by eating, but by allowing the body of the man to absorb the energies it needs for the pleasures of existence through the correct conduct. By absorbing energies from the universe. It's so easy to do, and when you learn how to do it, you don't want to go back to it, to eating, back to destroying life. For this process, we not only teach the physicality of the process to make system, but we have created structures that by teaching, we elevate the soul, you understand the operation of your soul, and then through it, you bring systems about, conditions about, that not only teach the others, but collectively we set example for that process for the others to understand that does not repeat the past problem. Part of this process was, as we said, now we understand our soul is our creator of our physicality. Then we have set structures like Universal Council and Earth Council and other organizations around the foundation to gradually convert everything to that point. It's very hard to change billions of years of habit over a few days or a few months or for weeks. It takes time, but now we have started the process. In due course, no one on this planet will destroy another life. No animal will consume another animal, because the correction in the process, which is lack of few bits of energies and materials, will come and bring that position about. We have set up the Universal Council and the Earth Council and the core team to see this support gradually. Initially, they take over everyday matters or bringing, educating the others. But in time, in a very short time, then they become, in a way, the guidelines or the the guardians or the advisors or whatever name you like for mankind into space. For mankind to understand, especially Universal Council, become the translators of the wishes of the universal community to the level of the soul of the man. It's like speaking different language. So they have become the translators, they become the converters of the information. Gradually we've seen Universal Council and Earth Council taking shape. We've seen they come and they're trying to bring positions about that we can move forward in the transition of the souls of the planet, of totality of all this, what we call lives. And then we have to listen how they are. They're maturing in front of us, in front of our eyes. We see them gradually in different presentation on Thursday mornings. They are coming forward gradually towards the same goal. But it takes time, because they have to teach their own souls, and by presenting the conditions they wish, they are learning themselves how far they can go, what is right and what has to be. We haven't heard from many of the Universal Council or the Earth Council members protection of other lives on this planet. How do we protect them? How do we teach others to protect them? And these are the parts which we graduate and grow with. We've seen in the past the messages of the God, they come and they say who they are, and they are the prophets, and then they start sending or giving the messages through what they've been given to the man. But this time, as we all understand, we are all messiahs, we all understand the process of the work of our lives, we are collectively setting up a standard for the soul of our present lives on this planet and the future generations. That we understand why. And because of it, we will not do this or do that. I said many times, you see these red berries on the shrubs or on plants, doesn't matter where you are from, Africa, Asia, Europe, America, none of us touches it. Because somewhere down in our emotion level, there's a danger level written. This thing you touch, you die. This thing you touch, you go sick. We have now to elevate the emotional level of our existence, that you don't eat because it's not right. You don't kill because it's not right. And this process will carry on. And now this is the work of the Universal Council and the Earth Council, to educate the soul of the man, that by educating the soul, the physicality follows. And then everything stops, all the killing stops, all the destruction stops. To what extent the Universal Council, the Earth Council evolve, we are watching it, all of us together. In the past, nobody could see the soul of the prophets when they received messages, because then they had to translate it. The members of the councils now are going through that evolution. As they receive the messages which is shared with us, we share everything together, and we see the evolution of the creation of what I call the Messiah as a totality of human race for the whole planet. And through it, once we learn, we become Messiahs of other races in the space when we come across, because we can show them by those who have first-hand experienced the damages that these things does, that they shall not do. This is the beauty of it. When you go apply for a job, they ask for your experience, if it fits into the job. What have you learned that from it you do not know the mistakes of the past? As a human race, what we've seen destruction and the wars have done, when we go into space, we know what it means to lose. We teach the others not to. We become the best messengers the universe has ever created, because we'll talk from experience, and experience counts. We know what it means by destruction, what it means by loss. And this is the beauty of this process. From material state, we come to understand the soul, and through understanding of the soul being responsible for our conduct, we ourselves in the future become the messengers of the past. Now we see the connection between science and what you call faith, which is the faith is us. A faith, belief in us being the creator and in control of everything through our conduct. And this is a lot of responsibilities we do not want to accept. We have refused to accept. Now it's on the plate. We have to accept. And in this process, we watch the growth of these organizations around us. We work in a different way. We allow them to explain themselves. And like a child, we see how they mature. And the maturity at the point of completion is the maturity of human race. To understand, to enter the next step. What I'd like to do as usual, to ask if any members of the Universal Council or Earth Council are present who would like to present anything or discuss or elevate our souls. Before we go into the what I call knowledge seeking after more of the understanding of the what we call the space of this planet. Are there any member of the council who would like to speak today to enlighten us?
Good morning, I'm Caroline from the Earth Council.
Sorry,
Rick.
Universal.
Yes.
Universal Council, sorry. Sorry. Good morning, Rick. Good morning, everybody. Rick, have you managed to find what I posted to you yesterday?
You mean what you posted this morning? I just started on it. I've got, I worked about an hour or so to try to find out 10 attributes of the Catholic faith and other parts of the Christian faith. And so it gets complicated because everybody has different ideas about that. It's not a set in stone thing in most religions. They don't have a top 10 attributes of God. So you have to sort of compile the top 7, the top 14, the top 8, the top 10.
So you had to look for the words which are most appropriate to be going into that topic.
Yeah, the sort of the most used, but you can't tell. You have to find out where people are coming from. There's different aspects of the Christian faith, for example, evangelistic versus the, the Protestant, Catholic, and so on. They all have different ways of looking at the attributes. So it almost has to be broken down according to the subsects of the main face and so on. It could get complex. It's a big, but we can have some generalities as far as what.
Yeah, that's fine, because how many do you have already? If we can show a few, then maybe later on we can extend it to more, to add, to have a comparison list. But it's just to share something different, which maybe people, it's a part of an information to look at things totally different. If you can bring the list forward for what you have, it would be nice to have a look at it. It doesn't matter if you have 3 or 4, it's fine. Okay. It was just to have an overview.
Okay, I'll put them on the screen here.
And I do apologize, it was for your morning.
Well, I asked if it was for the Knowledge Seekers Workshop, but you didn't reply, so I didn't think it. I thought it was for something. For
sometimes at certain points I fall out of.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes I fall out of network and
I don't know which
I just
day.
get taken out. Like last time, I just disappeared out of nowhere. I do apologize, but we're trying to find a reason why. Okay.
Let me make these bigger so they're easier.
Yes, please. Then it's easier for me to read.
Now, I got these from a couple of different websites, actually. So this list came from these sources.
Yeah.
And
can you bring a few from just a few words, if it is possible, from the Muslim, the Arabic? Okay, if you can add a few of those. My point going into this, as you're working on for bringing them forward, thank you very much, Rick, for all your work. And I'm sorry I couldn't get back to you. The whole idea is, I heard, or we all remember last time the way Ursula was explaining the beauty and the resonance and the impact when a few of the 100 attributes of God were brought forward to all of us. And one says, if you would have, it came up into talking and conversations that, one language, when there are certain words spoken, especially when they come to the topic of religion, is that they upheld, they bring for certain people, like we would use the phrase, you don't feel comfortable. And the reason why I'm bringing this forward is that, as Mr. Kesh brought forward in his previous teachings, that when you're in different places on this planet, you are in a totally different field strength. So the energy feels different, sounds different, and resonates different. So I want to erase the awkward feeling from one religion to another, to erase the borders of the feeling, and by not maybe looking or overlooking it, or maybe we never even came to the point to stand still by this problem, why it is there. Now, each prophet has brought a numerous of beautiful names, what we call attributes of God, which Mr. Kesh explained. These are your possession because they are your attributes as a soul, and they're all most beautiful. And if you go from one to another, you come across in a different wording, but the same beauty, because the prophets essentially brought them in the most beautiful way they could at that moment. But now imagine you are coming from one part of the world where you have the culture, the food, the understanding, and the energy level. Then you go totally to the other side where the food is completely different, the culture is totally different, and the language spoken is in a different vibration. Now, if you look at these words, when they're all translated into English to a more global understanding for whoever is following it or is able to follow it in English, the difference is not that much. It's just the knowledge from where they're coming, which makes you to be alert. But if you erase where they come from, who has printed them, from which the religion they are belonging to, they are just beautiful words. They are just attributes of God. So if you understand as knowledge seekers that it's the field strength from the part where this prophet brought it in that part with that strength, now you understand that the strength is totally different than when it, let's say, it came from Europe or it came from China. But because the prophets were placed in different parts of the world, in different time zones, with different energy strength, that's why when you speak them in the original language, they sound and they vibrate towards more close where you're coming from, that point where they emerged. And that's why they feel so awkward, because the difference of the field strength, when you come from Europe and you listen to the Arabic speaking, it doesn't resonate so much, because to you, you're not in the same field. Now, maybe this will be bringing a door to open up for people. When you look at the information on this, then you might be able to remove the awkwardness, the opposing, maybe the not feeling so comfortable with certain parts from certain strengths because they do not resonate with your field strength. So it has nothing to do with the religion. It has nothing to do with which prophet or which group is bringing them out. Because if you remove all the titles where they came from, like the one which is in the screen now, names of God in Islam, if you remove that and you remove everything before and just leave the English, and then you go through the whole list, these are all magnificent, really beautiful messages, beautiful gifts. Because when you raise the origin where they came from and you put them all in one language, then they will resonate with everyone. Because they are adjusted towards where you are in your field strength, so you will absorb them. Because if I would have made a blind table and you have no origin, you have no where it came from, not even a prophet, not even the religion, but just the beautiful words, they would resonate with all of us. There would be no difference. It's because we start putting them in blocks from each religion, from where they come from in each language, that the difference already starts appearing. So what do we understand with all of this? That beauty has no difference. When beauty is expressed in Arabic or in Chinese or in English or in German, it does not make no difference, because you create a field of beauty, because that's what the word is bringing. So automatically it resonates with all of us. That's why we are working in language of culture, understanding, resonating with the fields. And that's why it goes so much easier. But if we use all one language, which is the language of the soul, and we just look at the beauty, then there is no barrier, there is no difference, there is no agitation, there is no despising, there is no nothing, just pure beauty. And that was my message for today, to understand, to start erasing why and how, and to understand our own, when we go a little bit deeper, when beauty is beauty, it stays beauty. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Caroline. There is something which might add to the knowledge, is that in the universal community, we have other attributes of the Creator, which we add to this. At this moment of time, is meaningless to us because we don't understand, we will not understand. In so many ways, we understand it, we can relate to it. Once we go through the process of being blind, prejudiced about who delivered the message, but what the message has brought, what does it mean? As we said, the attributes of God, the creator, is attributes of the soul of the man. But man could never see himself or herself, or to possess such beauties that he could elevate on it, who could expand on it. When we have a beautiful eyes, when we have a beautiful face, we decorate it, that it shows more its beauty. When we have a beautiful body, we dress to show the beauty, the attribute of our beauty. When we have a beautiful flower, we take the thorns away to show only the beauty of the rose, not the thorns on the stem. It's the same in the space. We have never believed that we are so beautiful. We are part of this structure. It's us which the prophet of the past have spoken about. Did Moses or Jesus or Muhammad or any other what we call messengers or prophets or whatever elevated themselves to understand their own soul, that to explain for man to understand, they put the name of the creator to it? Because no one at that stage, at that step, was elevated to see that it's me who creates, it's me who's generous, it's me who is everything else. I like somebody else to be, but I'm too shy to accept the responsibility that is me. And when we go into space, we'll find out so much more. We find out the totality of all the attributes of the creator is the attribute of the soul of the man. And that's the beauty of it. This is what we need to understand. This is what the elevation of the soul of the man will come to be. And what will be interesting is, if I tell you the other attributes of the creator in its space will have no meaning to most of you. Because you have to look at it at the soul of the creator. Because then you have to accept that there is more to my soul than what I thought. Up to now, I have to accept the God, and now I see I am part of the creator, the God. It's my soul who's responsible for my creation and my manifestation. Then you come to a new dimension, new environment, new education, new understanding that these are other things that I did not know about myself. I didn't know I can learn a language so easy. I didn't know that my soul is beautiful. My soul is gracious. My soul is holy, because I have to respect my soul, that it creates a perfect being like me, that I can respect the others, that they become perfect like me too. But how do we become perfect? What do we accept? One of our biggest problem in the present society is that we have never understood the position of our soul. We had to go through the process of the matter to the GANs to energy, that you could understand the energy, see them mixing and creating, understanding a soul, that now you understand that soul, you can convert it back to matter, and that matter is me. This is what we call the understanding of the creation. This is what we call the understanding of the mutation of the energy into matter. We knew it, but we didn't know how. Now we know that energy has become us. What are we going to do with it? We are composition of energies, which has come from transformation of the energy of the soul to be the matter state of the body, the physicality we would like to show ourselves. It'll be very odd if you stand out, in a crowd if you don't match. But we have to understand we all came from the same origin. We all come from the same energy. We all come from the same manifestation. And this is us. Whatever you read on this board, the most gracious, the most merciful, the king, the most holy, the ultimate provider of peace. Read it in Catalysm. Holiness, mercy, grace, love. It all comes to the same point. This is us. And now we, up to now, understood the working with the matter. We melted it, we forged it, we shaped it into a cup, into a plate, into a machinery. We use the energy to do the conversion. Now we can understand the energy conversion from our soul has been forged to be my skin, my eyes, my lips, my liver, and everything else. And this time we have a say, the same as we forge the metal to a plate or a cup. Now we can forge our souls to be physical, practical, visible on this planet or in the other planet. This is the process of the progress that we have to understand. And a lot of people would have a problem with this. Because, as I said before, accepting responsibility for one soul is the biggest opposition to this cycle of the knowledge for man. Because up to now I was provided, I was put to fear of, I was institutionalized in the name of faith. Now I am the faith. I am the path of belief. I believe to do this and I do it. I believe I'm correct, I have to do it this way and I do it. A lot of people have problem, will have a problem in accepting responsibility for their own conduct and their own doing. And this is where the game comes to. We will come to it. We have to accept it. And by accepting it, we create peace. This is the key. In understanding, accepting the position of our soul is the key to peace. Because when we understand it, we accept it, we are at peace with our soul, what is created, that we have forged into what it to be, will be at peace with others. As I've said before, World Peace Treaty is not just signing a paper by a head of a nation, it's a signing of the man's souls to peace himself. A lot of people came here to steal, and I walked them for them to understand how thief they are of their own soul and others. They came here to have a free energy, to have a free health, free everything else, but they did not see the path led to the freedom of the soul of the man from the entanglement of his physicality. And this is that a lot of people find problem with this technology and with these teachings. Because everything became free except the soul of the man that by his freedom creates the peace for man. Not only on this planet but in space. And that is a problem for a lot of people. Use the knowledge to bring peace to your soul. Use the knowledge with bringing peace to your soul, you understand, you bring peace to the humanity, and through it, you become man of universe. As I said many times, human race already has been in the space, but it's been locked out in the village of the earth because of its conduct. When you live in a peaceful city, what do you do when you get somebody who disturbs the peace? You send the police, you put them in jail, or you lock them up. That they don't disturb the peace, they're kept away, they're locked away till they understand they can't do what they've done. So has been done to the human race in the universe. Man has not found the process of peace, and for that reason, man has been isolated. Till he finds peace with himself, that he becomes peaceful being. Many times, new what you call prophets or messengers have come to direct man. You know, when you go in a prison, there's a correctional officer who comes and teaches you this you can do, you cannot do, and then they release you to see what you do, and you do the same crime and they put you back in again. This is the same process. Tried many times to educate man through his physical conduct, but everything has gone wrong. So this time, believe the man to be the teacher and guider of his own soul. And that way, you cannot blame no one. You don't need to have a Chinese whisper to hear to someone else, and the process become clear. You got to realize the process of freedom of man. The process of freedom of man is from his soul in the level of his physicality. Until we don't understand this, there is a problem with the man, and you are isolated. As we say, you're in quarantine till you understand. And we have come this time to end this quarantine. We have this time to change the course that every man can become man of space. Every man has the freedom to become man of space. If you go back to some of the teaching I've done before, I said, when we make the spaceship, you find people who cannot walk in. They will not ever walk in because their soul knows, they say they are men of peace, but they're planning other things. They will never make the way. The souls will not allow the physicality to lie to the other physicalities and souls. What we are doing is making man responsible for his conducts and taking him out of being institutionalized to the forces of this planet with the wrongdoing. When the sooner the man understands, the sooner we open the things. So we become messengers of knowledge, we become messengers of science, we become messengers of peace, we become messengers of theology, of man understanding his own soul. A lot of people walk away from the work of the foundation because this time they could steal everything, but they know they can't steal and lie to their own soul. So I go away and I blame something is wrong with the foundation and the work of the what I have been taught. But don't worry, because in time your soul will bring you back in. Then you understand you need the time to graduate, you need time to go through the position to understand more, to come back in. That become part of the universal community. We become part of the universal community not through our physical body, but through the existence of our souls. And this is something nobody understands. Very soon you will understand. Very soon people understand. A number of human race and others from this planet will join the universal community. Many other creatures of this planet have already joined the universal because they have graduated to understanding. So now it's time for masses to understand that we can open the door. But don't forget, there is still a quantity for those who do not follow the path. And it'll be done by the souls. We don't make any Guantanamo Bay prisons, and we don't make any Alcatraz that people can hide and we can lock them up. Your soul will do the job. So it's the decision made by the soul of the man, not by force of the other entities. Any other participation from the members of the councils?
Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
Good morning.
I just want to share a few.
Would you like to introduce yourself, who you are, please?
And this is Aza Ujan. I am a member of Universal Council Farsi. And I like to add a few things. I don't know if my thoughts will resonate with what we discussed. To me, Universal Council, which is the languages, and we can go say Arabic, Farsi, any other languages we talk about, still these are all words that matches our physicality, that brings vibration, good vibration to the human body. But Universal Council, which is the languages, is a bridge for us to go from where we are to the join the universal community. In time, we will have no languages. I mean, we're going to have only one language. We're going to talk to our mind. I'm assuming by 2020-21 we should get there. So now when we talk about languages, languages brought a lot of advancement to humanity. It got to a point, I mean, it is the best thing ever happened to humanity, because language brought humanity in so many levels. We have even languages of different category. We have language of art, we have language of literature. People made great advancement in when somebody read a book, they changed their life. So it was a huge, huge thing for humanity. At the same time, languages for the past 30 years brought humanity down in a way. People start using languages for manipulation. So it has its good things and bad things. So what is happening now, to me, we can understand these words, like we talk about Allah or Ar-Rahman. We can say all these words, and we can sit in physicality and bring good vibration to us. We talk about love and mercy. But when we get to a point that we pass this bridge of universal community, I'm hoping one day we don't have universal council, because we are doing this connection with our languages to communicate with whoever we represent. But they're going to get to a point that we don't need any of this. I mean, all of us, no matter where we are, we're going to communicate to our mind. And that at that time, there is no more hiding, there is no more manipulation. Because when I say advancement in terms of like category, I remember when I came to the United States, I had English in 7 years of English in Iran to middle school and high school. And I was full in grammar and vocabulary spelling, but when I came here, I couldn't speak or I couldn't understand, and I could understand even more of the British accent than American. American was too fast for me and too different pronunciation. So when I went to university, they put me, I took an examination, they put me in ESL English, and also they put me in a calculus in math. Math was my highest. I went to calculus right away. So I went to the class, the professor is talking, and I didn't understand a word of what she's saying. But when she put a problem on the board, I understood, because I knew how to solve problems. So I got A+ in a class that I never understood the teacher. So with languages, we had accomplished a lot, but we can, at the moment, we can rely on languages, we can convey our messages, we can use it to teach other people what we carry within ourselves, but we cannot keep this forever, because we have to move. This is just the transition. And if you still want to sit home and talk about, okay, say this word is going to bring good feeling to your body, we're going to be stuck. We cannot pass anything else. We have to understand this, that this is just a temporary time that we using the languages for us to teach other people, but not to be with it forever and stuck on words. Once we get to communication of the mind, is much more, is more advanced than what we look at. It is a feeling. Is what you're sitting next to somebody and feel their feeling, understand them through the mind. That's the beautiful thing that we're going to look forward to, not necessarily with a lot of words. When I talk about the manipulation of the language that is happening for the past 3 decades, I noticed it in the US, because in the US in the old times, like maybe 30 years ago, I give you an example. When somebody wanted to go sell something, they wanted to sell a washing machine, they wanted to sell a vacuum cleaner, the salesman would go to somebody's house, they would go to somebody's office, and the salesman, look into the person's eye and explain, this washing machine, for example, does this, and give the facts. And the salesman made a sale, or if they want to sell something else, idea maybe. But then what happened, the society learned, actually a lot of companies came with the idea, now how we can make a sale, but manipulation. So they teach this. And I remember when I was waiting for my going to dental school, I was looking for a job. I was majored in biology and minored in anthropology. And everywhere I looked, I couldn't find a job. And then I found a ad, somebody wants in Macy's Chanel counter, makeup counter, wanted to have a makeup artist. I said, okay, I can do makeup on myself. I need a job for 3 months. I become a makeup artist. So I went to the makeup counter and I said, I'm a makeup artist. And then they said, you have any experience? I said, yes, I worked in a Chanel counter in Harrods in London, because that's where I thought nobody's going to call Harrods to find out about my experiences. So I got the job. So the next thing you know, they took us to a hotel for a couple of days of training. And what they taught us, it was scamming people to buy a product. It was like a manipulation. Like, for example, one thing they told us, never ask a dead-end question. Like, for example, saying, would you like to buy a lipstick? If the customer says no, you're done. You cannot have a conversation. So I've seen this through my life with the business as well too. People come in, they learn, they come to sell you software or a program into my office constantly. What they bring in, they don't bring the honestly what their software carries or what they have. They come with other things. What they come in with the point of, first of all, they research you a little bit on the internet or wherever to see who are you all about and what is your likes, what you dislike. And I can give you an example. Usually they come in male or female, and the first thing, say, hi, Dr. Boujaran, how was your vacation? Oh, you have a nice earring. Oh, look at this, you were so beautiful. They get it to a personal level. And if you are very naive and so move with the ego and you like to thrive on your look or this and that, you got the bite and they can run you. But once you understand this, they're doing this to lure you into position they can close the deal. So it's all manipulation. There's no honesty in it anymore. So humanity has become to a point, even in a personal level, a lot of people, communication is all the same thing. They don't honestly talk to each other heart to heart. What am I feeling? Most of the time when you ask someone, how are you today? Everybody says, I'm well. But not necessarily they are well. Nobody tells the truth. Look, today I had a bad day. So languages is good things and bad things. And so again, we have to use the language at the moment to communicate with our own kind, people who speak the same language, to convey the message who we are and what direction we go. But we cannot stuck to the language, because this is just a bridge. We're going to move on to the point as a universal community. We're going to have only one language, and that's going to be to our soul. And that's the beauty of it. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? How is the progress for the councils in respect to what we call the charter? Has there been any progress? Any of the members of the councils can enlighten us?
Mr. Kesh, Ursula did have her hand up earlier. I'm not sure if it was for that or not. Maybe she has something she'd like to say from the Universal Council Spanish.
Yes, hi. Good morning to everybody, or good afternoon. I was hearing with many attention of all what is said, and so interesting interpretation also from Azar. I appreciate very much. And I can share many things about also of the 1919 attributes of God. They are not gods, but attributes. I will share them another time. I think we must go to other things now. I'm also from the Universal Council Spanish, and it's making me grow very much all what I'm studying, learning, integrating, and sharing also with. I was studying the 99 attributes and other things with my friend, Dr. Friend Aziz. 10 years, during 10 years, beautiful years. And I'm studying, and again, all what he was teaching us, and I will share it with you. I must translate because it was in French. And I hear also in the presentation on the first video we saw, receiving from others to take your to find your position, take from others and share also. But we need to have also information and to be with strong magnets. And I thank you very much, Mr. Kesh, because you are a big magnet. Your voice is magnetic, and it's very pleasant to hear what you're saying. Also with Carolina, she's a woman like many of us, and it's a language, women language, we understand also very well. We are all sharing our experience. It's very grateful, and we are learning very much to position on us. It's the first thing we must do. Giving and having love also. We need this love, because sometimes we give it not to ourselves, and we are learning that also. To be ourselves is very important and makes us free. And all what we give comes back as a boomerang. I like very much this boomerang, you know, all what you give, and sometimes the boomerang comes on your head and hurts very much. And in this time, when you're in a special position, when boomerang comes back, when you do something is wrong, it hurts very much. And I like also what Lisa and Jim are taking for us, giving for us every Monday on 10 in the morning here in Europe. And I invite everybody to assist to those teaching, because there are the first one, the basics, the fundamentals, very important. And also Tuesdays on 16 European time, with one nation, one planet, and one race. It's what we are learning about. And this world peace meeting is very important for everybody. We must learn, we must integrate, and we must share. This is the meaning, I think. If I feel it like this. And we want to say also I'm vegetarian since I was 5 years in Argentina. So you are speaking about this, and it's very important. I was sad when my grandma bought this duck for Christmas, and I saw how they take this one, because I was joking with him, and she chose this one. This was very traumatizing for me, and I never eat duck again. It was terrible at home. And also the cow, that cow was hanging on a tree on my German school. He was bleeding from the neck, and this was the last time I eat meat. In Argentina, you know, it's where the land of the asado is a social meeting. So I can share very much, but I think it's all for today, and I can say it also in Spanish, but I don't know if we have time.
Yes, please.
Bueno, hola queridos amigos hispanos. Quería traducir lo que he dicho en inglés. Es importante, como dice en el video del principio, dar y recibir. Es muy importante para encontrar nuestra posición. La posición es muy importante, porque aquí se trata de una escuela del alma, del espíritu, no solamente de la tecnología. Ayer fue dada el primer enseñamiento en español, muy bueno, realmente, y agradezco mucho a Álvaro por la dedicación que le pone y todo el amor. Dar y recibir amor. Eso es lo que estamos aprendiendo primeramente con nosotros mismos. Dar y recibir, dar es como un boomerang. El boomerang cuando vuelve vuelve. Y si damos amor, vuelve amor. Y si damos pena, nos hace mucho daño. Y aún más cuando estamos elevándonos espiritualmente. También les invito a escuchar los enseñamientos de Jim y Lisa de Australia, que tienen acá son en Europa a las 10 de la mañana y son muy interesantes porque dan las bases, pero creo que va a estar todo grabado y van a poder tener accesión también por grabaciones. Y también el martes, One Planet, One Nation and One Race, donde estamos trabajando aquí en Europa a las 16 y seguramente por todas partes tienen que verificar la hora de diferencia en cada país para poder hablar con todos esos participantes que están trabajando por la paz. World Peace. Y hice también una parte con el hecho que sea vegetariana. Yo soy argentina y desde los 5 años, cuando mi abuela eligió ese pato para Navidad y que yo vi cómo lo agarró del cogote y le cortó la cabeza, desde entonces no como más patos. Y la misma cosa con las vacas. Estuve en un colegio alemán y ahí cuando vi la vaca colgada del árbol, sangrando, fue mi último día de comer carne. Yo sé que en Argentina el asado es un encuentro social muy importante, que es muy divertido algunas veces, y yo prefiero tomar mate. Bueno, esto es todo por hoy. Dejo el lugar al señor Keshe para seguir su enseñamiento. Gracias. I'm finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you very
much.
much.
This is how we elevate ourselves. This is how we understand more. We keep on talking about Earth language, Earth Council or the Universal Council, and we speak about the different languages. But what we have to graduate to understand the language of the soul. This is the ultimate goal of these works. This is the point that we don't need languages, because the language of the soul is universal. As I've said in many teachings, the sun is a soul. All the suns in the universe shine the same. Different brightness, slightly different colors, but they shine through the same principle. So it is the same for everything. It's one language, to be the light. And in so many ways, as has been explained before, it's for the recipient to decide what he wants to convert the light to. Your soul radiates and its field, by intervention of your feeling, converts that to anger. The same feels to joy. The same feels to the beauty of the eyes. The same feels into pleasure. The same thing into pain. It's what we convert according to our emotion, that light, that sun, that source, that soul. So this is what is important. This is what we got to understand. All this, we started, as I said, from the matter state for you to see the fields. You tested it, you know exists, you put in the core, you see in the fields, is to bring man to one point, the language of the soul. And when we understand this, we move and we progress very rapidly. The beauty with this process, this cycle, is we are not creating no monks, we are not creating no priests, we are not creating no mullahs or nobody else. We become our own guideline. We have to judge our own progress, how we want our soul to progress to the next level. That we become part of the totality. Otherwise, the game will carry on, but not this time, because many people has enlightened and will carry on very soon. As I see, and we are noticing, as I've seen yesterday in some communications, some television channels and radio channels are giving airtime to the Keshe Foundation technology. And it means the breaking through has started. But this time it'll go like a ball of fire. Because once one television station, one radio station, national televisions go on teaching, it will carry on. And what we see, the pictures I see, it has started. So in so many ways, many of you who are listeners and you have learned and you're in the process of learning, you unknowingly will become the teachers, because you're a step ahead. You can teach the others that they can teach themselves. If this process carries on for like the what we see, we hand and we make the teachings openly to these channels. This is the possibility that we might do, that the progress of teaching comes from us in a way, the correct way, and it can progress to the next level. Any other comments?
Mr. Keshe, can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
You know, when we have, imagine in your garden, you have parsley, you have basil.
Why do you need to imagine?
Okay, I have a garden.
You are a God, you're creator of your own being.
Okay, if we have like a garden with basil and parsley and an apple tree, and every day I go take out the top of the parsley and basil and use it for my food, the roots are still there. So the plant is still alive. So I'm cutting the almond leaves, I guess, and then apples. The trees are still alive, but I use the apple. Sometimes the apples falls on the ground and I eat the apple. So is this killing the soul? Or
in so many ways, we have to understand what is the apple. What was the function of the apple? Why did the plant create the apple and gave it different color and taste? Otherwise it would have been one apple and that's it. Is it that the process is that I provide this is what I say, freely available, because it's made available, that it allows for expansion, because it has a purpose. For the animals to eat the apple and take the seed and drop it somewhere else, that it expands. It's the cleverness of the plant, not the man is there to consume, or the animals or the birds. The plant has valued its soul to understand its function, and it wants to expand, that it can create more of itself. Plants are highly intelligent. They have a beautiful soul. So if I want to expand, that it can be another apple tree, that I have my child. Human beings make love, animals mate. What does a plant do? What does a tree do? It cannot throw its apple, it'll fall within its own shadow, and then it can lead to its own demise. It creates an apple position that this seed will be taken somewhere else. What is the seed? When you look at the seed of an apple, when you look at a grain of rice, what's in there? It's a womb with a food supply. If you look at a grain of rice, what do we see? What we call the corn in one corner, and the rest a pack of slice of. Can I share a screen?
Go ahead.
This is what, in so many ways, if you look at a grain of rice, it has a section which is the heartbeat, which is the seed. And in so many ways, this is the part which is there as an energy pack. When the seed wants to grow, I provide this food for it. Change the name. Call it an egg. The same story. This is the child, this is the baby already made, ready. And the same as the other place, the mother has provided the food for it till it grows. This is the soul of the apple, ready to grow. This is the same. So, if you expand it, it's the soul of the man, but we call it the brain. The cycle of life is the same. It's us that we could not understand. Now we understand. We create children. The tree has created this child. So has a grain of rice or the rice plant. The whole thing is exactly the same. They all have souls. This is alive. So is this. So is this. And it's strange enough, if you have not understood by now, they speak the same language. They have the same emotion. It's us which has been blind to it. You nourish the egg the right way, you get your chicken. You nourish this, you get another life. You call the rice plant. You nourish this the right way, you have yourself another being. It's all life. We just not been aware of it. Now we are responsible for it. We don't go and eat our children, but we go and eat the child of a chicken or a child of the rice. Because it's our right, we have done it so long, we have to do it. Now it's time to ask a question. Is it my right? Has it been my right? Just because others have done wrong does not mean we carry on with the wrong. You go to space, would you like somebody to come and eat your child because you're another energy pack? Or is it correct that you understand he can't eat, consume other lives, then in a space that's not done either to you or you don't do it to the others? To make a pilot, you have to train the pilot to be able to fly. To take mankind into space, you have to train the man to understand the rules of the flight in space. And this is part of these teachings. I teach you everything about the soul, about energy, about everything else. And the whole target is narrowly, we are literally walking, or if you look at it, I'm walking you through a funnel with a very, very low hole at the bottom. Mankind has been here doing every damage whatever it could. Gradually is getting trained that it shines through like a torch as one ray in the universe. Like everybody else in the universe. Mankind is not going to be unique that I am in the universe. I am, when you shine, you shine like the others, like the stars. And this is the whole purpose of this teaching. The only way I could get you lot going was to give you a bit of sweetie, have a bit of free energy. You can do something with your soul. You can do something with nano coating for your whatever, heating or whatever. But you all have walked the path. This is the mastership of a teacher. And I'm mastering what I do. I've done it many times in the universe. I understand the weakness of the student, but I don't punish it for the weakness. I glorify its beauty, which is his soul, that he tries to get to that point, but in fact, he walks through the door. It's not a catch, it's the education of the soul. It's the freedom for the soul. So when you talk about the plants, when you talk about, I ate, as we were talking with Rick and Vince before, about the celery. What do you do with the celery? Say, can I chew you? Can I kiss you first and then chew you? Or is the celery created itself for you to chew it because it had to have those leaves that it could allow the plant to grow, that it could create the seed. If this is a celery and then it gives a seed, we don't allow all of them to become, but these leaves and everything else is for you to come to have the seed. So the plant has already calculated, I am giving something to get something. Thou shalt not steal. But you have to understand something very simple. Who makes that decision? Where is the soul of the plant? Where is the soul of a tree? As we said in the other teaching, or some of you mentioned, we cut the branch, we take the fruit, but the tree is still there. We cut the arm of the man, we cut the leg of the man, but the man is still there. Because the soul of the man still is within the structure of the body of the man. Even though every cell carries its own soul. How come that the plants have become what they are? Where is the soul of a tree? When comes the point that a plant does not want to grow anymore? When we see a plant, when we see a tree, where are its roots? Why does it have a root? How did the soul of the plant change from the soul of the man in a way of guaranteeing its survival? The position of the soul of the man and the plant and the tree is the same. But in the mankind, we decided to go this way. In the world of vegetation, they decided to go that way. The soul of the tree is not created somewhere here and goes down. The soul of the plants, the position of creation of the soul of the plant is slightly different than the soul of the man or the animal line. In the position of the soul of the man, we kept the freedom of our soul, but with some attachment condition to the earth, which means we still would like to be free, but we accept certain connections. So the soul feels like very much like a sun. If you look at it, your soul is like a sun, radiates downwards. And the interaction with the earth gravitational magnetic field and in composition of changing energy for this soul to be independent has created arms and legs. But our soul, which is its own amino acid from the condition of the gaseous part, has decided to keep its ratio mass to use a specific field strength of the oxygen and the carbon and the hydrogen of this environment. Where the soul of the plant has decided to use the same but a slightly different strength of the same thing, which this allows it to be more dependent on the matter state of the planet than the soul of the man. So the soul of a plant sits just between the root and the stem, where the life starts. When you pick a tree, you pull a plant out, the root of it is connection, is its legs, how it wants to be connected. But the soul of it sits just below the surface. And itself decides, this is what I want to have to make sure that I can spread my eggs, that there is more of me. So did the apple tree, so does the man. Due to composition of the amino acid, which is connected closer to the strength of the earth level, the seeds and the trees or vegetation have taken this position. Where the soul of the man has decided different way. I stay independent, I still shine like a sun on earth, but I keep my distance because I chose a slightly different strength. And choosing a slightly different strength amino acid from the gaseous part allows me to connect to calcium, to magnesium, and to many other elements of this planet, and what is above, which man does not know yet. And where here, I can only connect myself to calcium, if it's calcium here, or zinc or whatever. So, in reality, if you look at it, our soul sits above in our head. In the plant life, the soul sits between the connection to earth and the use of environment of the above. So in fact has two ways. It's grown in longitude, where with us we have decided to go in a different way in altitude and the longitude, where the plants decide, this is my longitude, I stay at soul level. My altitude, I decide in what I can get, what I can go, and how much fields is available forcing me from the earth and above to become part of what I want to be. The existence of the soul of a being is the same. Without it, shall not be radiating anything. Be the soul of the man, being the plant. And then I decide to have this condition. I like to wear a Chinese hat with chopsticks, so anybody who likes the chopsticks and a Chinese hat is with me. And then I can have a Chinese partner that I create a Chinese child that it shows I'm Chinese, and with it I allow him to marry another one to spread more of me. So does the apple tree. Man has gone the wrong way in so many ways, not understanding these things. And it has, in the history of man, we see a lot of abuses like this due to misunderstanding, but those who understood it, abused it well. So now we understand. There is no difference in what we think, because we can speak and we made the computers and the microphone. We are more intelligent than the soul of an apple tree or a celery or a wheat. Because we don't hear the, what you call the frequency of their communication, you think they're just a tree. But very soon, man, when they open their eyes as a race, they will hear the voices of the soul of every entity. In hearing means respecting. In hearing means understanding to accommodate. This is what we say, you cannot steal, but you are given. Do plants give? That through it, the energy they have created that gives your life elevation of, so that's become now your soul. You give from you to elevate the others. If the apple chooses a red color and sweetener is eaten more, that by it he can spread more of his seeds, but it knows you have to have a pleasure of the sweetness of it that this seed can spread, then he has given the right, or has he given the sacrifice to give, to take. What about if you come to the point to understand to the soul of the plant, the tree, that I give you freely what you want to spread, I take your seed where you want, that it gives you pleasure that you expand, you don't need to eat the apple. The apple in mythical language is Adam and Eve, and the apple is when man betrayed his own soul. That was the poison. That was the chalice that everybody is looking for. Betraying one's souls. And then you understand more. And then it comes part of the theology, because then you take the fields off without taking the essence of the life off. This is what the man will face in space. And this is the biggest dilemma for those of us who've been active around the universe trying to get this race to be corrected. To you might funny if somebody considers the apple, where would you like me to take your seed? But you don't need to speak the language. You can ask the apple, you can feel the fields of it. Look how trees speak together. Look how when you walk in the woods, plants accommodate each other. This is the space I need to live. I have to go taller, I have to go to the left or the right to get some light. They accommodate each other. Walk in the true jungles made by nature, by the facilitating one souls of the plants, and you get a different feeling. You walk through man-made jungles and you get a different feeling. You feel the pain of the trees. Because we are forced to be. It's like imprisoning a soul. Man soon will learn these things and you understand it. We've seen it now in the world of food. Fishes are free with no diseases. Man gets the fish and confines them into boxes that they grow, and they call them free range fish. And we see diseases with them because they don't want to exist. We see this in Ghana, in the fishing industry. We see this in Norwegian fishing industry with salmon and other fishes. We see it in the Scottish salmon industry. And none of the agriculturists, none of the fishery authorities have understood, contemplated for 1 second that fishes are getting diseased, but have we cared about their soul? Do we need to confine them, or do we give them the freedom of a whole river and let them grow in a whole river the way they were used to? But we give them a helping hand. And if they will, they want, they give you the fruit of their life, which is the children, or whatever, if the child wants to be there. Or you find after a while they balance each other. The biggest problem in fishery and agriculture, that's why we see so much pesticides and fertilizers are used, is because man has not understood the emotion and the feeling and the soul of the plants or the animals. Fishes are talking to us, trees are getting diseased because they don't want to be in that position. And it says, these trees are all getting decimated because of this disease. Have we seen, have we allowed to understand the feeling of the tree? I need more space. You say 1 meter is not good enough for me. You put me in the prison lock. I like to be 2 meters. When we understand, we plant it that way. And we will see no trees with no disease. We see agriculture without pesticides. We see agriculture without fertilizer. Because they will grow and you create the environment for them to grow. We have shown this in all the agricultural teaching. When we add GANs to it, it's not just the GANs we give. GANs creates a new environment for the plant. It creates a condition that the plant can take what it likes from its environment, so it grows bigger. How foolish we've been, we haven't seen. We force it with fertilizer. You can give me as much as you like, I blew up, but I'm not so weak-carry. I don't put the right things in my seed, then your child eats my seed of grain of rice, does not get the right emotion, you end up with new diseases because you received the wrong energy for what you've been brought up to. We have to understand the whole process. And we have to understand the position, the work of the soul of the plants. Then if we understand the soul of this planet. What does this planet wants from us to be? So many times I say, the earth is crying blood through its soul for what man is doing to his entity. It's like a father watching his child destroying whatever is made. His life work being destroyed and destroyed. Till the child realizes, I'm destroying my own root. What his father left for me is for me to elevate myself, but I've destroyed everything. How can I elevate? If the man could hear the cry of the soul of this planet for what man and other animals are doing to it, man will stop, will freeze in this point. And this is what the purpose of these teachings are. To open the eye of the man to more knowledge. You use it. I was teaching with Dr. Quata in Kenya last Saturday, in the university where he teaches every Saturday. And to me, I have to explain how the GANs is good for the agriculture in Kenya, because they get better profit, they can harvest, but I cannot teach them because they don't understand at the moment that I create a facility for the wheat and he's happy for what I give him, that he can give me whatever. I increase, I create a happy environment through being correct. But then, would the vegetation or a tree would give me the energy it wants to put into a plant to grow to me direct what I need, that I don't even need to consume it. I just enjoy its beauty. This is a new innovation of the new systems. When you make a food system, you're all happy to have a CH3 on you and get energy. What about the soul? That entity creates, that it gives you unconditionally from it, when I nourish it properly. We have the same problem in our flight system. They do not see to fly needs understanding of the freedom of the giving by the entity you use, not by forcing it. In a way, I give from my soul for you to give me, to show me the beauty of what it give me a pleasure, and for me it will be pleasure to be able to fly. Then you find out everybody will walk to the king. The king being the soul of the man, that with it it becomes generous to give, not to take. In so many ways, we have to understand what this technology brings for us. Then we understand the structure of the soul. Then we don't need to go to the wall and bang our head to it to become elevated in our understanding, because we're just banging against what I call a solid wall. Solid wall which the soul cannot accept. So when you speak about agriculture, understand what is, where is the soul of the plant? Why does it operate this way? And in so many ways, it does not matter if the plant, which the energy you need for it, is in Africa and you're in Europe, or in Asia and you're in America. Man needs a lot to learn. When we saw the magnets by Rick last week, or in other teachings, you just look what happens immediately around the magnet, but look beyond where these fields will end up. What, who takes, who needs it. So when we look at the structure of the agriculture and we understand what has been explained, then 2 points. We don't need to eat the plant. Second is, we give respect to the existence of that soul. Because at the end of the day, if the amino acid turned up to be the soul of the man's container, becomes the body of the man, so is for the plant, but different strength. The amino acid of the body of the man needs the iron to create blood, that it can flow, that it makes it versatile. The same amino acid of different strengths with magnesium and other things creates the green leaves and the rest of it, that call it the vertical position. But all these plants, they talk to each other. They communicate in the word of their language of their soul, because one tree understands the soul of the other, and some will do with the other space that they need to space themselves in. Agriculture, the soul of the plants, if you understand it, should become a rhythm for living of the man in the space. We have to understand why, because we've been ignorant to it. We have to understand how that we can elevate the soul of the plant, that with it, it grows the plant. And then it comes other aspects, it comes other understanding. It comes for us as a human race to go a step further. Then, as I said many times, every energy pack in the universe does not become food. Any other question?
Can I ask another question, Mr. Kesh?
Yes.
How does the lion stops eating the lamb? How do we accomplish that?
How do you think your physicality is destroying your soul? The lion is the physicality of the man, and the lamb is the soul of the man. So you translate it, you understand it. It's your job, or not your job, is for man to understand, to be able to teach, to be able to convey the message in a way that the soul of being has a different packaging in the brain of the man in receiving energy from the universe, and has a different package in giving energy to the universe. Then it receives what it needs and it gives what it needs. No one in the universe consumes energy the way man does. As I said, it's the malfunctioning of a system which we're trying to correct, but it has to be corrected from. There are two ways to do it. Literally to destroy everything which this planet has created. Literally destroy the solar system. Bring it into point, as it happens many times, to come in the point that nothing goes out of this place. Right out, wipe out the whole planet. But within it there is a soul, and there are souls. But these souls have not changed, they manifest themselves in another dimension, then we have the same problem. This goes back very much like the story of Moses. A lot of people look at Moses and his life, and you call them Judaism, which of it has come Christianity. When you look at the behavior of Jews today, when you look at the behavior of one of the Jews which we know more than others, like Hitler, compare it to the training of Moses. Didn't he kill all the species of one race, those who grew him up? Didn't Hitler kill most of those who were his lovers? Don't we see the same pattern of killing with the same process with the Jewish, what we call, state? But stop, it didn't start with Moses itself. How did Moses become Moses? Didn't the king order the killing of all the male species? Because he knew there could be someone who would take his position. He looked at the king to come as a king of physicality, but never understood that the king was supposed to come in the soul of the man. Haven't seen the repetition of the same in Hitler's time, killing all the men of one village. Because it's ingrained in the conduct. Haven't seen the same thing with Islam. The same thing in time of Muhammad now is repeating itself in different names and shapes and forms of Islam. Why every race sees killing as a solution? This is what we got to change. This comes from the knowledge, the education, the beauty of being able to have everything that you do not need to commit, to kill, to commit a crime. That means devaluating your own soul. This is part of this understanding, which now when you understand, you create a GANs, you create a GANs machine of whatever. A lot of people followed and then stopped, which means you're not matured yet. If you can understand the soul of a plant, that what it needs to elevate it and comfort it, and you've been taught now how to make gases or create a free energy, how many of you have gone into the process of converting the energy to what you need, that you don't need to have to kill for it? Many of you have started, but it's the process of learning. Go back a lot of things which has been taught. The 129 was the best example. And nobody has picked it up. Nobody has understood the full meaning of when I set up the test years ago. We had a system, we have another system, and we have another system. The size is the domination of strength. We had a weak system, a medium system, and a strong system. Understanding the work of magnetic field, plasmatic magnetic field, this is what we did. We embraced the weak. We fed from the weak, and we took what the weak didn't want. And we created such a commotion of feeding more and more, because this was a hungry one, which you 129 Tesla. This is the soul of the man. This is the system you can create. Intermediary is the physicality of the man. Soon, the soul of the man will grow. It depends what you put in this machine. Then it does not need the physicality, and then it does not need to feed the physicality to kill for it. So simple. This is what I said to one of the government officials recently. I can create a system that I can feed the whole nation. The same. We know what it needs to be in the machine, and we know the soul of the man, the physicality of the man is weaker than the machine. They can take as much as they like. The more they take, the more I receive what they don't need. I can convert back to more to give them. But the problem is, when we feed the man, man has got nothing to do. Now the hunger is over. Would the man go violent to get more? Now he has no worries about how he receives the energy, because it's always there. We use the physicality of the man to elevate the soul of the man. So when the soul of the man is elevated, so the physicality will change. When you go into space, you always have to consider the strength of your soul, and if the strength of your soul in the environment you arrive is at the level that does not take everything you have, and you can manifest yourself. That's why most of the places in space when man goes is not suitable for the man, because he cannot manifest itself. Because by manifesting itself, it can create his own demise, which means it gives his field totality out if he doesn't want to, but it happens through the course of the strength. All the teachings are connected to each other. It depends on the understanding of the knowledge seeker. How you can connect and how you can understand the totality. The faster you do, the faster you grow. It's the same thing. I went yesterday in the medical teaching, and I teach about the combination box, and they want to know how you connect it, what you do, and I explained very simple. If our elite of the knowledgeable people, which are the doctors and scientists, are still entangled in how to make a box, they haven't seen the reason of the teaching is a doctor has to be the creator, that he understands every need, that it becomes literally the machine that can change the gift to the soul, that the physicality, which is a disease, walks away. And so this carries on. In a way, is the soul of the doctor, not the machine which he makes. As I said yesterday, there are no motors and no reactors and no magnesium and no potassium in the space. The sun shines, and the interaction with the field of the physicality of the earth, the fields produce oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon and gold. and everything else. So the soul of a doctor has to become the sun. In interaction with the physicality of being, does not matter what, in what part of the universe, in feeding the soul, elevates the physicality from its position of pain or whatever. This is the true knowledge. This is the real essence of creation. And somehow man gets entangled with physicality too many times. And in so many ways, as a patient teacher, I take my time. You have to make a test. It's a test tube. You change something to achieve something else. We have the same problem with the people who are trying to fly. The flight system, I have given them everything, but they cannot. They're running into frustration. There is something wrong. Yes, there is something wrong. You have not understood. The machine is this guy. Here is the soul of the man. You want the flight to see a flying machine, you have to understand this process. It's me who feeds. It's my wish to see the flight, and then everything is done. There is still, after rotating and seeing noises. It's time to unite all the knowledge with all different aspects of teaching. Those who are in science, those who are in agriculture, those who are in fishing, those who are in art, or whatever, to understand. And it's time to understand that teaching is for all of you the same. According to your understanding, you translate it to yours. Look at the agriculturists. They're translating the use of the GANs, how to grow plants. Look at the doctors, they're making calls how to change. But have any of you asked, it's the same CO2 I use, it's the same GANs of amino acid of whatever, zinc or copper or whatever. Have we given different instructions for different production of GANs for the agriculture or medicine or whatever? No, it's the same. The love of God shines on all equal. It depends. If you are a man, you get wet, you run away, not to get wet. If you are a plant, you say, thanks, I receive water. But it's the same. It's the same water, it's the same knowledge, it's the same, depends how you want to use it. You put a cup up and collect the energy of water which comes the rain, and you drink it to rejoice your soul. Or you hide away from it, you don't want to get wet. It's your decision. When I teach the totality. And each one of you look into a point where you are interested. None of you stood still, say, the knowledge is common between all of us. The knowledge of Creator is like a sun. You have to understand which ray you want, where you want to be. And then, if you change what you understood as a doctor to use for your patient, you are behaving like emotion. Your soul becomes the converter of the soul of the emotion in respect to what it comes from the Creator. You become the physicality of it, that it feeds the soul that is weaker for it to elevate through you. Then, in so many ways, if you look, in one part you play this, and in the other part you play this. Does not matter if you're in agriculture, in health, in energy, or whatever. This is what we got to understand. And the sooner the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers understand it's the same song, does it rejoice you? Does it bring you sadness because of the memories of the past? Or does it make you think to become wiser? It's the same song played by the same recorder, and it's the same music. Is upon the holder to what he receives and to what he understands from it. try to understand that I have taught mankind the totality of the knowledge. Do you want to be one name of creator to filter, or do you want to be the totality of the names of attributes of the creator? It's all the same sun. It's what filter you put that it gives you that emotion. As I said, when the man travels into space, man will understand more names for attributes of the creator which he has no knowledge of at the moment. Any questions?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Kesh. I have two questions. This is Gatwa.
Yes, Dr. Gato.
The picture you had before this one would help, but I don't know whether you can bring it back.
No, I wipe it out. I don't store pictures.
Okay, perhaps Rick can give us a, cut and paste if he saved it. But let me continue with the questions, and probably Rick will be doing that in the background. The first question is, first of all, thank you very much for your excellent teaching about our souls and souls of other beings. This is very important. Now, as far as plants are concerned, and the position you drew their soul's location, how is it that trees can grow from cuttings? Like you cut a small branch, it grows, yet it does not have a soul at that location. The soul is either in the seed, as you drew it, or just between the stem and the roots. So what happens in order for trees to grow from...
Nothing happens. Do you know, you go on, let me translate in different language. You're a doctor, you're a well-taught person. Now we can take an egg and grow it into a man without the mother and father. We mix it with the sperm. I get the sperm and we get what we like. And then if you go back to the teaching, I've explained that every cell of the man has a soul. And you get water swipe from the mouth of the man, and you can tell his DNA and RNA and the rest of it. So when you cut a plant, every cell of the plant carries all the information of its creation. And when you put it in touch with the soil, with the fields of the planet, then it manifests itself. The same as a life, as another being. This is why in every teaching, in medical teaching, I always explain that every cell has a soul. But it depends how the soul has been adapted to convert itself. If you take a cell, an arm of a man, and you plant it, it will not grow to. But if you take a cell of the man in the right way, and you can conduct it the right way, you can create another man. It's the same with the plants. But the plants have made that accommodation that they can do. That they accept certain fields because they are connected to the earth. They create a gravitational magnetic field of what they need. In a way, when you put a plant down, you just look at it as a leaf or a stem you just put in the ground. But you got to understand there is more to it. Every cell here carries a soul. And this soul creates a certain fields that in interaction with this planet creates roots. It brings what it needs to it. It doesn't go out to reach it. And then that allows it in genetic way or whatever you call it in the growth to grow in. So it's not that you plant it and it grows, how come? Because all the information what it needs is here. When you put you're cutting in the ground and it doesn't grow, it means its field does not match the environment or the materials which it needs in that environment. Because it has a preset soul level in interaction with the physicality of the planet. So simple.
Just to make this very clear, if I look at the egg and sperm and the way you have taught what happens, is that the egg has a separate soul and the sperm have a separate soul. But when they start interactions, they create a condition within the mother's womb that makes it possible for the soul to come from the unicorns. And then we have a fetus. So in the case of plants, the way you have drawn it, just looks like a egg and sperm situation. Does the soul also come from outside?
Soul what?
Does the soul now that makes this cutting into a full-grown tree, does it also come from the outside, like the universe? Like
no, the thing is, doesn't come. No. The soul comes from the interaction of the fields of the eggs. And with it, it creates a stronger field which takes from its environment. In the case of the plant, you create one condition and the other condition is the soul of the planet. And the interaction of the fields and what is available that allows the root to grow. This is how I like to connect myself to you. And in that process, the two fields create a condition that allows other souls to be created. If you look, even the root, the cell in the root has the same soul as the cell in the body of the man.
Okay, thank you very much for that explanation. The second question is about application of manures. The way you have explained how plants take CO2 liquid plasma, for example, when we apply, and how that helps the plants, is that the CO2 in the carbon in the CO2 liquid plasma attracts cohon or amino acid from the atmosphere and brings it close to where the plant can take them. Is it the same with the manure? Does manure actually become a magnet for amino acids in the soil?
Now, go back to what is being taught. What is manure? It's something which has gone through a process of GANs, and in it is the same process. Is not is so many ways the energy which is embedded in it, which gets absorbed of the matching of by the plant. Fertilizers, in fact, if you look at it, are different way of a GANs, but they're in a solid state. Because all entities are made of magnetic fields. But when they're in a solid, they have a smaller field. When you're in a GANs, you have a bigger field. That's why there's more effect. There's more giving. That's all. No difference. No other things.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. By the way, thank you very much for your teaching on Saturday.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure.
Hello, Ms. Cash. This is Chao from Universal Council as a language member for Mandarin. And I have a question for the 129 Tesla. And can I share the screen?
Yes, please. You want me to stop sharing that you can share? Go ahead.
Yes, okay. So you draw three blocks. One is for the weaker, middle is a medium, and a very strong one. And so the energy flow in this system looks like this. And so the mechanism looks like the strong one feeds the weaker one and get fed by the weaker one at the same time. And this mechanism can be applied also in feeding, in health, and in lifting units. So it's like looks like a universal principle. And
yes.
And this reminds me something, and I'm going to talk about, because in China we have some knowledge about yin and yang. So we develop everything into yin yang theory. And for example, this is yin and another is yang. So one is weaker and one is stronger. And then another knowledge is called bagua, or we call it 8 trigram. That means we replace we replace yin with this symbol and yang with a straight line, and we combine them together. If we have 3 of them, we may have like different trigrams. For example, like this, I will draw all of them. And they have different meanings. So I will draw 4 of them. Actually, it's equal to, we have 2 choice in one position, and we have 3 of them. So we have 8 different trigrams. And there was one knowledge developed in China called bagua for this. And this can be used to understand the knowledge of the universe, or how to say, ancient people in China use this to predict what would happen and predict and to guide their behavior. And I found out, as you said in this topic of the 3 of the system combined of 3, and it looks like it has represented the 3 symbol of yin yang is represented by the 3 system, and it looks like there's some connection. And in ancient China, there was one old saying that 1 give birth to 2, and 2 give birth to 3, and 3 give birth to everything. So it seems the 3 produce lots of things. It means the interaction between the 3 atoms can produce lots of things. And let's talk about the meanings of these trigrams. For example, let me take an example. This means mountain. So it looks like a mountain, and another meaning is a stop. So it looks like the highest energy. If the strong one is very high, and the other is like very weak.
Can you repeat again this section again, please?
Okay. So this trigram is called mountain in Chinese.
Yeah.
And it has another meaning of stop. Why to stop? So I try to understand it based on the knowledge you taught. My understanding is that the highest level, this one is very strong, and when the other 2 is very weak. For example, if we put it into the star formation. So we have 3 base of them, and here is one very on the top. So I guess if in the spaceship we use this as a very high level, high energy level, and the other three in a like a low level, so it will, this combination of the setting of star formation will help to stop the spaceship. And another one is, this is another topic is like this. This is a lightning or thundering. So lightning or thundering, it means it kind of bursts. It gives birth to lots of things. They have lots of meanings, but I just pick up the most important meaning for these symbols. It can like, my understanding is that on the top, if we think about the sun and the earth, and if the sun energy like is connected to this one, and the earth energy is connected to the strongest one, and sometimes like the lightning it always happens when two clouds, one is positive charged or negative charged, there a potential difference exists between two clouds or the sky and the earth. So the lightning happens, and the lightning will, just like when we make a gas, when we nanocoat, we use some electrical current to guide to when we do nano coating, and it kind of give birth to something. So in conclusion, there are 8 trigrams of these symbols, and if we have 6 of them, we can have another theory. It's called Zhou-Yi or I-Ching. If Rick can share, I can send him the link in Wikipedia explaining of this theory. So this is a developed theory for Bagua, because it has 6 2 choice for one position, and there are 6, so it has 64 different symbols, and our ancient people use these symbols to predict what would happen. And in my understanding, it's these symbols can help people to understand how the energy would flow and what the results will be caused by a certain flow pattern. And so I wonder, so I hope that Ms. Cash would enlighten us about these trigrams and some theory behind yin yang and this like ancient knowledge.
When you speak about the infinity loop, this is what we see here. This is what we see. I don't have the control. Let me see if I can.
Do you want?
Just wait. No, I can take.
Okay.
If you talk about this infinity loop, this is the strong. This is the weak. The intermediary is this point of interaction. If you speak about this here, what is missing is here, because we know these reactions create a third one. I in so many ways have so much respect and understanding for the Chinese culture of yin yang, and understanding of not the way you describe it, but the way of understanding the balance. This is how the universe works, and if you are looking for solution or comparison, all the people who gathered this knowledge over centuries understood this balance. And others have just followed it, or some understand it to study it more. In so many ways, when you explain it, when you write it, it's very much what is interesting in what you just explained. You put 2 to the power of 3 is 8. And this 8 is the most, what do you call it? The precious number in Chinese?
八卦.
Yeah. But what is interesting, this is 2 times 2 times 2, correct? But in Chinese language or in Chinese culture, you don't have any 4, even on your buildings. You have no 4th floor. You have no room with number 4 in it.
Yes, right. We don't have. It's like a not good number in the Chinese culture.
Because the reason is because it sounds like death. That's the reason you don't use it. When you go into hotels in China, there is no room 104. You go to 106 or 102. Nobody wants to be in the death room. In so many ways, if you look at it, a lot of understanding of yin and yang comes from a lot of deep understanding of the belief of the working of the soul. And you like to be generous because you're a giver. So you feel good. You're precious because then you can give. Why? Then that giving makes you wise, that wisdom makes you rich. This is part of the culture of Chinese kind of understanding. So, is it the number 4 which came in the middle? Or is it that you jump that and you just look at 1? Just not by name. When 2 is not good enough, you have to be 3. The way you look is the balance of energies, not playing with symbolism or with figures or numbers. You got to look at the essence of the knowledge. And Chinese culture in the richness of the time has understood this. When you look at the sign of yin and yang, look at the shape. The borderline is the line of physicality. You draw it like this. This is the weak, this is the strong, and this is the physicality which they create, that you see the difference. This is the doctor, this is the patient. This is the soul of the doctor and soul of the patient. And the physicality is what will reach it. A lot of teaching which has been done, and in so many ways, even in your writing, what you just shown, even the thunder, that nobody, even till recent past, when we saw a thunder, we always thought the thunder comes from the top. But actually the thunder originates from the earth up. Why? It's the same with all our teaching. When you receive so much energy, the surface of the planet absorbs as much as it can. But it absorbs a lot, and in one level releases much more stronger out. And then we see it as a light. It's the way energy transfer has been changed into symbolism and numbers or whatever for people to understand. But in fact, even if you look at this, look the way it goes. There is always a point where one getting, one giving, one receiving, one making available needs to meet the balance. This is it. I have so much you can take here, or I need so much, okay, you can have in exchange. But I have to give more to be able to receive more. Because otherwise I cannot give, because I haven't received. So if you put all the Chinese symbolism, but go to the wisdom of the nation, go to the wisdom of the culture, you understand it's nothing but the explanation of the soul of the man. Even the Chinese wisdom, the wise men of China, could not explain this so easily to the people, because they could not understand. The depth of the culture, the depth of the culture comes by the strength in its knowledge. In Chinese is very deep, but still has become a lot of symbolism that even now we don't understand most of it, because those people who became so wise, they could understand the work of the soul. So when you look at your symbolism, you look at the numbers or whatever, all talks about the same. But the people of the time did not understand the maturity of their own, what you call, wise men. They had to hide it in symbols and things that people could understand, or some people could understand. And now it's become fashionable, this is what it is. But go to the essence of it. If you take the whole lot of yin and yang sign, I try to use a different color, then you can see. It's the same thing. It's the line of transformation. If you look at it in so many ways, in a very simple way, it's a very simple way. It's not to look at the symbolism, but look at the essence of the knowledge which was passed by the man of wisdom. As many of you know, I enjoy Chinese culture understanding, because it's a different way, and the Chinese supporters of Keshe Foundation in China totally approach the whole knowledge in a different way than the rest of the world, because they understand it through the work of the soul. In essence, true soul, but it's so natural to them that they've forgotten that it's connected to their soul. It's talking, working is their way. Now there's this more materialistic world, but if you go back and look even in other parts, you still believe in people who understand more, what they call the master of, what do you call it, energies. So if you look at it, you just draw it. We're talking about the same thing. Depends how you want to turn it, how you want to change it. It's all the same. We have to move. This is what I enjoy working with the Chinese community, because they're a step ahead. They have understood the work of the soul in a different way, but they are more, they used to be less materialistic, but understand more of the work of the soul. but the masters have hidden it in a way that the common people still could respect them to understand more. But if they would have shared the knowledge the way they understood the true way, the Chinese community would have been in space a long time ago. Even though you're already far ahead of the others from what I know. If Western world knew about the technology, space technology, and advancement in China, they would have hung themselves. But that's the beauty, because you look at it a different way. Your scientists look at the whole technology in a different way. And it's a pleasure to work with them. Because you understand the connection between the soul, and you transfer that knowledge in a different way with space technology, with agriculture and everything else. But the same in the Chinese culture, you needed that additional knowledge to go further, and that additional knowledge has been given. Is now how you use it to expand and go to the next step.
Thank you, Ms. Cash. As you said, it's need to be expand, because in China we have lots of Asian knowledge, but it's kept in the traditional characters. And nowadays in China we use a simple characters and some knowledge like a stop. So there are lots of work to be done to renew the knowledge or explore the treasure we have already in our hands. And so it's still a long journey for, I mean, for the present generation of Chinese people to get or the benefits they can get from the culture, history, and everything, and go step into their space. And thank you for your recognition.
It's not a recognition, it's understanding. When you understand the knowledge, the man of knowledge, how they look at it. In the West, everything has to be patent. In the East, in China, everything has to be emotionally understood. And this is the way the Chinese culture works. Once you understand it through your emotion, through your senses, you live by it. But when it's a pattern, it's just what I read and I can do it. That's why the Chinese scientists are much more advanced and we see much more development in China. Because the evolution of the knowledge of the soul of the man is far ahead of Western world. Far, far ahead. I have had the pleasure to be in contact and see and work with them. And even in a common daily life, you have a totally different understanding, which in the West we don't understand, because you have gone one step further by teaching of what I call what you what we call it in the English language, we call messengers. Because they went towards the soul, which is the real creation, where in the West, in Abrahism, they went to the physicality, which is all punishment of the body. Where in the East, in the Chinese culture, you go for elevation of the everything. And it has created a lot of what I call false understanding, but with the new knowledge, which now is in the hand of humanity, especially the Chinese through Keshe Foundation and knowledge which comes with it, the progress in the technology with Chinese is beyond understanding of the West. Far beyond. Even though sometimes your leadership falls for the physical confirmation, but understanding a true knowledge in Chinese culture, you're far ahead. You're distance ahead from what you call it, from the Western world. Because the ethos of the teaching in the West is totally on punishment and physicality. Look at all the teaching of the or all the names which appeared earlier on in Arabic or in English. It's all connected to physicality. That's the way they look at it, but they don't look at it. It's all connected to that beauty of the soul, where the Chinese culture understood this long time ago. And that's why you can do more. In between the West and the East in India, they have understood it, but they've used it in different ways. But it's the views everywhere the same. Different one of them is to use this different way. But the Chinese culture, you have got the full explanation of working of the soul, but nobody has opened it up. And now with this technology, a lot of Chinese are working in that way. You come up with totally different new designs for different products because you understand the work of it totally through the soul, but it's so natural to you that you see it as a product, but you don't see how you came to it. But in the West, it's incomprehensible. How is this possible? How you can do this? We don't need to explain a lot of things to Chinese, but in the West you have to, because they're not matured in the soul yet.
Yes, I knew many members in the Chinese group, and we get touched with Keshe Foundation and the plasma technology, and many people are attracted by this technology because we find it explains lots of like confusions that we already know, but we still wonder about in our own culture, and we found out the plasma technology has lots of connection to like our traditional knowledge, and that it works really nice. And so that's why, so when you talk about this story, the 192 Tesla system, and so I came up with the idea of the 8 trigram and the I Chi, or mean the another name is the theory of change in the ancient knowledge. And yeah.
You have everything, it's just that people have to understand the next step.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Keshe.
Thank you very much. Any other question? We are nearly reaching 3 hours. The understanding of our work goes much deeper than a lot of people do at this moment, but we are maturing all together. This time is not one race or one religion or one group. It's the totality, but it brings all the knowledges of the past together. And it is very interesting that we can go to the next step and do other things with it. And we can spread the knowledge. Speaking about the spreading the knowledge, I have again, thanks to the Chinese community of the Keshe Foundation and what I call Keshe Foundation, the people who work around the Keshe Foundation, is that hopefully within the next few weeks, all the books of the Keshe Foundation will be released through Chinese printers. What we have, we hopefully should be able to deliver, is that we are looking for those of you who have translated the books in the language, your mother languages. We know we have all the 3 books in Chinese. I've seen them, they're beautifully done. They will be printed in China very soon. So you can get access and buy the Chinese, the 3 Chinese books in China through the Keshe Foundation system. We have set up organization and it's owned by the Keshe Foundation headquarters, that you buy everything in China in the Chinese account. So those of you who've been looking for Chinese books, which they'll be hopefully printed in the next few weeks, please get in touch back with the Keshe Foundation. We are trying to get it correctly checked, which has been done, the modern Chinese and the old traditional Chinese, and these books will be available in a short time in China. All the books of the Keshe Foundation and all the materials will be translated and printed through one publisher. We are looking, if you translate it, we know we have the 3 books in German. We know we have the 3 books in Czech. We know the Spanish has been done, but we don't know who's holding the part of it. Koke, one of the first knowledge seekers, translated the first book. We have lost it because of the server damage. If anybody is in touch with him, we would like to have his translation. He gifted it to the foundation, that we can print it for Spanish. Or if the Spanish group have translated the books, we need them to be able to print them back. All the books are copyright, which is ISBN numbered, so it cannot be published by anybody else because it's own intellectual right owned and it's owned by the foundation. So we have the Chinese, we have the English, we have the 3 books in German. We know the Czech has been done. We know some people have translated the book number 1 and 2 in French. The book in Flemish or in Dutch has been done by a couple of people. We know Portuguese has been done. The Romanian has been done by someone somewhere. So if you know or you have translated the books into any languages, the foundation would like have to access to them, that we can publish it, that it'll be printed, that it can be distributed from China. The whole what we had, the problem with the release of the books for past couple of years, where we paid the printers in Belgium and they stole the money and they will not deliver it because of the same process we've seen with others, is finished. We have nothing to do with Europe anymore. We paid 25,000 stolen from the foundation. As the habit of that part of the world. So we have transferred all our printing into Far East, and from now on we release every book. The books, if you have translated it, you want to send it to webmaster, put a topic, book translation, we get it checked, and then it will be published in the language. If you need a donation for your work, the foundation is prepared. We have an agreement, we pay back to you for the work you've done, because now this allows other people to read the knowledge, as they don't always speak English. If you translate anything into any of the documents of the Keshe Foundation into your native language, please let us have it, that we can expand the knowledge, that nobody falls behind. So if you are a translator, you've done the book translation, or you know somebody has done it somewhere, please this week or whatever, send them back to the webmaster, even as a package, as a file. We download it, we get it to be what you call organized to come as a book. So in next, let's say, few weeks, all the books which you bought is delayed, we couldn't get out of Belgium because of stealing by them, will be brought back in through the Keshe Foundation. And now with this process, all the languages will be available that you can take. If you are in a third world nation, you call yourself, which you are all the same. If you are in an African nation, French speaking, once we receive the books as a gift to the foundation, it'll be given to the French, the way we've seen in South Sudan, and last week the book were translated. This week the books, the PDF file of the books have been transferred to Kenya for the Kenyan university students to have it free, that they can educate themselves. This is how we work. When you start teaching in different countries, that people want to read the book in the universities, we have all the files. Anything you provide to us, when we receive the file that somebody needs a book, or a university or whatever, they can't afford it, we'll deliver, we send you the full PDF file, that it can be printed in the printers in the offices of the university, that the students can have in their hand. So whatever you have translated as documents, please send them to Keshe Foundation. We'll put them in a hard copy. Dr. Van Dorp has done the transcribing of all the teachings, medical teachings. Those will be, they're on Amazon. They'll be transferred with his permission to the Keshe Foundation of printing in China, that if anybody wants a hard copy, you can order those to be done. Then you can go through the same process. Most of the works of the Keshe Foundation, my papers and everything will go in hard copy to one printing office in China. The process now is set up that way, that the knowledge is received by everyone and it can be done by everyone. We know a lot of Chinese people been looking, waiting for the books. The books are complete. I had the pleasure to hold them a few weeks ago, and it was very nice to see the essence, but in the writing, in Chinese writing. I thank the people who've done the job. It's been fantastic. What I've seen is beautiful presentation, and we go to the next step. So if you have translated any part or any of the books, please get in touch with the webmaster at Keshe Foundation, and we are now in the process of, we can go in process of publishing papers directly, and it goes directly to the printers. They print per order. Any other information? Any other question?
We had Pete from Poland, but I don't think he's here now. So I guess we'll have to have him next week, perhaps.
He says next, Carlin is telling me that he's at work, he'll do it next week.
Okay, good.
Next Tuesday, then we can bring it forward. He already has received the file. Anything else?
There's a question in the Q&A I suppose we should address. I couldn't quite figure out what he was talking about, but I'll relay the question anyway.
Read it.
It says, I understand that the Earth is created by the fields of the sun in interaction with the environment, and man is created by the fields of the Earth in interaction with the environment. I would like to know where my fields end up. When I decide to change my skin to black, I can feel the change of my skin. But it does not happen here in this dimension. So where does this change happen?
It can happen if you wish it, if you understand how to do it. It's that we have not understood fully the operation of. In a coming time, those of you who are in the research and development, you will report to us that you see changes in your color. Because some of you at some one point or another will touch, knowingly or unknowingly, or it become designed to, that we produce the field strength that in our body changes the color of the skin, the color of the eye. It comes through the essence of the emotion in respect to the fields of the soul of the man. A lot of people wish to be white, but in essence, they do not want to be white because they've seen no good being in white color, or they don't want to be black because they don't see any way to be black. The color will become irrelevant in deep space. In the space technology, these things are so immature that nobody contemplates, because you're beautiful the way you are and the way your soul wants you to be manifest itself. But if you, the easiest way, if I can explain to you, is how you can change your color, is that you have to understand the emotion of the cells of your body in respect to the emotion of the soul of your totality, which is the soul of your creation. The way you suddenly see your, out of whatever, the hair on your skin rises, the fear or whatever. The way you see through emotion, your skin crunches. The way you feel and you let your skin go because you had enough. If you can do these things, change of the color is the same. You have to find a strength which creates that change. In some points we see a lot of people in their hair suddenly white patches or gray patches. Nobody has ever explained this, but if you understand the essence of the emotion and where the soul of the man converts the emotion, and go to the person and ask that specific question which relates to that part of the brain of the man, you will see the answer. Why? Because the change of color in our hair, in the position of suddenly going white in one patch, it's got to do with the emotion which is in that point. And the world of science has never understood this. When you see somebody with that and ask them, he says, it just suddenly came when I was 25 years old, 20 years old, and it became white. Then ask them to go through the emotion. Why? What happened that time? And then you understand, okay, it's related to this. Now, if you mark it in the right way, you find the position of the feeling in that position. If it was sorrow, and you understand this is connected to the sorrow, this is where they feel the strength of the body sits, because the emotion comes through the brain outward. Because when it goes in, the emotion absorbs by the feeling of the soul, and then the soul gives its emotion back at the strength at that point. We all can change our colors. Very soon it will become very, very, very nice. A lot of people will do it. The way you go to a hairdresser, once you understand, you can change your color from pink to yellow and blonde. Then when man understands the strength of the soul of the emotion that creates the condition of the color in respect to the environment, we change color as we like. Nobody can say, oh, you're black, because I can change to black anytime and it's beautiful. And nobody can say you're yellow, because I can change to yellow anytime I like. And changing into yellow, would it bring the condition of narrow eyes, different height, different understanding, because that carries a lot of emotion with it. It's not just color of the skin. This is the knowledge which is gifted to man, and very soon all of you will open it.
Hi, Mrs. Guest. It's Rui from Portugal, UC member. I'd like to have one question, if it's possible.
Yes.
Can you explain, in understanding of the theoretical physicals, what is the neutrine, which kind of package energy it is, and how it works in the soul and everything? Not neutron, but neutrine. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a package of energy with no mass, and its speed faster than light, and it exists in the environment. And when it's all around by the theories of physics, and when pass, just detect them when they pass through some fields or some matter, it changes the structure of the matter. It's the ones they call, they usually on land, they move west to east. It's cosmic rays or something like, I don't know if you are familiar with that, but I believe so. It's theoric, physics theorics, if it exists and how it exists. And when they come in a structure like a... Sorry?
I don't understand what you're trying to explain.
Okay, neutrine for the theoretic physics.
I think you're talking about a neutrino. Is that the word?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
not
Yes.
neutrino.
Okay, neutrino. Okay.
And there's also cosmic rays, right? That's something
It,
in the
yeah,
news.
it works something like this. They detected in the mathematics, in the physics theory, that some package of energy it's there that changed the structure of the matter, and they suppose they know it's something is there. I don't know if it exists actually, but the thing
Well,
is,
they've measured cosmic rays recently, some very extremely, the highest energy cosmic rays they've ever measured, and they come from outside of the Milky Way galaxy. And none of the rays in the Milky Way galaxy are as strong as these ones they're measuring from outside of the galaxy. And they hit the Earth, but only at the rate of about 1 in a square kilometer per year of these rays, probably fortunately because they are so strong. But that was in the news recently, if that's part of what you mean.
yeah.
What about that is? What
But
about
my understanding, they are more than 1 per square meter. But probably.
there's other rays, like I think the neutrinos you're talking about are supposed to be billions per square centimeter hitting our skin.
Yeah, my question is just because they changed the environment and the matter when form a superstructure. That bring me to the knowledge of the pyramids because they are built with the face to the cardinal points because they run in that direction, and when they got inside the structure, like a pyramidal structure, they slow down, and then they are trapped to the inside. They slow down because they come under the speed of light, so they don't manage to go out of there, and that is what the theorists say, that it changed the structure in the chamber of king in the pyramid when they go around and around, and they always pass in that area and change the structure of the matter. So I don't know if you can say something about it.
Neutrinos, or whatever you call them, one of many fields or packages of the fields which which exist in universe as the energy is transferred. There is a system that they put tanks with certain heavy waters or light waters to see how much photon one of them might hit, that they can detect to confirm their existence. There is no difference between that or anything else. It's just a level of the energy which is delivered as a package. And when it reduces enough in the strength, that the scientific belief is that some of these neutrinos still go through these tanks which are set up and creates no photon. But in reality is, if this at the higher strength or there is not enough mass to slow it down, and the space gap is big enough that the field as a ray can go through it, we don't measure it, we cannot see it. So fields are not exclusivity of what name man has created it. There is a packages of them. Soon in the space we'll see them. When we open up the door of the space in the space, these are part of the things which will be come across. It's very much, as I said in many of the teachings, none of us, or maybe some of us, suddenly see a flash of light in our eyes. Maybe somebody did somewhere, or somebody we never could understand what was suddenly I saw a flash in my eyes. But when we send man up a few kilometers further up, where the shielding of the physical field interaction of the earth is not strong enough to stop, astronauts reported a lot of flashes in their eyes, like somebody flashing a light. And now we understand that. I've explained in one of the teachings in NASA forums years ago. I explained this why, and then we went through developing a helmet that can slow down, which was at that time was a surprise thing, but in fact was the nano layers, which now we produce freely, all of us, that we could slow down or stop these, absorb the energies in the nano layers. So when we go to deeper space, we'll see more of high level energies because the shielding of the earth doesn't exist. But many of these different names of fields which we haven't even got the system to detect them crosses the earth all the time. And for everything which goes through, there has to be a reverse back. There is something traveling back because it's changing the position. And when you change your position, there should be an interaction of what you have changed. It's very simple. So these energies, whatever now we understand that the reality in the science of the plasma physics, we just got to find out or understand that this is where it releases, or its energy level reduces enough that it can manifest itself as light. Neutrinos are another name for another energy package. I can see Rick putting something on the table. He wants to show us something. Hello, Rick.
Yes, hi, Mr. Cash. I was just, we were talking about energy packets and the interrelationship of things in the universe and that kind of thing. And we were just playing with this setup here we have with a piece of plastic on a bulletin board sort of background here, but we have some objects, 3 different sizes. You were talking about the interaction of the larger and smaller bodies and how they interact with their energies and so on. So we can kind of see how that works in this environment. And it's interesting because there's no magnets involved, and yet these entities will interact. And if we just
Can I interrupt you for a sec, Rick? It's just
yes.
it's just kind of blurry. Do you think you can try to get that a little bit focused?
Yeah, okay, that's a good idea. I think it's just the autofocus here. Let me try to autofocus, take the autofocus off actually. Okay, that's a bit better there, I think. We need crop. Put on that light up there, Guy. Need a little more light, I think might help. And I'll try to zero in a bit more. I guess that's as far as it'll go. Okay, let me try it again here. It's a very interesting interaction that happens when we can get it just right, at least. And I don't even really need the...
Yeah, but this is the static energy transfer which you create.
Yes, essentially. And once we get it going, it actually can... I don't know if I can get it going properly here, but sometimes it'll last for quite a long period of time. You think it's kind of stopped, but all of a sudden things happen.
You see, one jumps and the other one has to position itself.
Yes, and they don't stick to each other. They always have a positive positioning from each other. And we can kind of...
Yeah, but it depends. You see them still standing, but they're still transferring energy. If you leave it, maybe
yes,
another
exactly.
in a few seconds.
Yeah.
This collection of energies which sits in there, and depends how much they transfer to each other, they move. This is the static energy, but it's a good representation of how things position themselves.
Yeah, give it more room there, like... Whoops, I can...
Yeah, your big one is stuck to the glass, that's why it doesn't move. You got to take the big one out.
In a way, the big one sometimes gives to the interaction, but what's happening is they're all jammed up at one end. If we were to give it more space, so to speak, it probably would have a little more action in there. Maybe we take the big one out. Sometimes they jump around better as well. It's kind of a temperamental thing. It's and then it just may or may not keep going after that. It's there's no rules that we could see. Sometimes it just keeps going. Really, sometimes for 30 seconds. They keep coming and moving. Right now it didn't do it, but they're camera shy. Every time we try to show something.
I think you better take the big one out.
Yeah, we can try that. This was the saucer shaped. It's got a piece of styrofoam inside. Sometimes it undoes the charge more than doing it. So, and sometimes just using a bare hand will, yeah, this might be all it takes.
Hi Rick, can I make a suggestion? It's Rui. I saw you made some movements in clockwise, the other movements and opposite. So maybe they behave different way. Either use one movement or the other movement.
Yes, so, that does seem to be an influence as well. But also you can use just lengthwise strokes. For example, if I just use my hand like this.
Yeah, this is gonna interrupt already. The fields are there, but clockwise and opposite movements, it gives different kind of fields, in my understanding.
I think the hands work pretty good. It worked better than the.
Yeah, the hands mix the fields.
The hands still working, whereas the bunny fur didn't have a lasting effect as well. I bet that's still gonna kick in a little bit now. That's interesting anyway, to see the relationship, and we showed it before with magnets, how magnets can repel and attract and so on.
But this you can use yourself as the magnet, so this is a complete interaction with yourself.
Yes, right, and we can end up, there's times when you can actually use your hands to move some of the balls back and forth quite readily. And not only that, but let's do a little thing here. If you take these and put them on top, whoops, they're not charged right now.
You could rub your feet on the carpet too, and that might help.
Oops, those two are not. So they start to maintain their own positive position.
Very nice nano layers, huh?
Yes, it does look like nano layers, and sometimes you can actually get them to form combinations and so on. And what I've noticed today, which is really interesting, is normally these, since they're all charged the same, they'll keep a gap between themselves. No matter what you do, they'll tend to keep a gap. But if I rub this differently, like on my shirt, it'll stick, and all of a sudden we have a molecule.
That's a good example of gravitational and magnetical.
These are now sticking together. Yeah. All of a sudden. So now we have this For example, yeah, I can create a water molecule by having this positive one here, sticking that one to it, rubbing another one on my shirt instead of the, whoops, it's supposed to stick on there. Come on now.
Yeah,
How about onto that one?
it doesn't work.
Just when you think you got it together there, I gave it a different charge from the
other rubber.
From the other. The thing about it is this bunny fur has one charge, and my vest material, which is full of bunny fur from our experiments, it has a different charge. So one of these is bunny fur charge, and the other two is vest charge, or vice versa. But it's like a water molecule, a H2O, 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen, and it's even formed the right sort of angle there and so on. And it's funny because normally, if you just give them all the bunny fur charge, then they stick very exactly and maintain their position and don't like to be together, basically. But they maintain a very ordered position too if you get them all set up and a bunch of balls together. And you can actually influence them. Well, at times I can influence them. Not right now, but there's times when you can get them actually going. It's not cooperating. I'm trying a big one. And this one here, just trying. No, it's got the opposite charge. If I put it on my vest, probably it'll stick to the surface.
These are static energies, or is a field flow?
Well, I think static is, I think they misnamed static to start with, just to perhaps even mislead people in a way, because to me, it's a very much a dynamic situation. These guys are, like you're saying, Mr. Kish, they're always changing and adapting to their local.
Are these polyethylene balls?
These are styrene, I think they are.
Styrene, yeah.
Yeah, just
polystyrene foam.
Solid polystyrene or whatever inside. It's solid inside. It's not a hollow ball. But ping pong balls will also be influenced this way. In fact, we have one here that, strangely enough, I had some GANs inside of this. I think it was the CO2 GANs on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and on this ping pong ball here. And we have this other deal rigged up here with this PVC rod, and you can hear when I charge it up with this bunny fur, you can hear the static. And strangely enough, I don't know if it actually, well, attracts that little ball too, but you can see that it attracts that, it attracts that GANs ball pretty strongly.
Almost stronger than anything else.
So if you rub it on your shirt, does it repel it?
Now see how it doesn't really affect those other ones, right? But yet this it's attracted, and everything else gets repelled by this rod for some reason. But this ball that had GANs inside of it, now it's pretty much empty. Somehow it gets very much attracted to this. So yeah, if I rub the ball with my shirt, let's see what happens. Put it back down. I have to rub the rod again, probably. Yeah, it's very much attracted still. So anyways, that's interesting how that works. You can see actually the tinfoil guy down in there is quite attracted to this as well. So yeah, anyway, so this interesting, I highly recommend people can set up it's just a piece of plastic and some of these cheap styrofoam balls that you can get. And all of a sudden, you can actually have hours of fun. And you don't have to be a kid. You can be like Guy and I instead. And we've been playing around with this, trying to find out what the laws are. Pardon me?
Sorry, somebody's mic was open, so I muted him.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So in short, it's a fun way to experience some of the field interactions, basically, and you get some surprisingly fast action happening. Like that is quite a bit for a aluminum foil covered styrofoam ball. It just makes some fast changes. And like I said before, I had it set up before where I could use my hands to push a ball. In fact, Guy and I were playing sort of a ping pong game, right, Guy? With on each side with our hands pushing the ball back and forth at a pretty good rate. But you have to be tuned into it. You have to get your charge together. And, you know, it's an interesting game because then you find out who can push the hardest with their charge and on their hands, basically, and sort of a way to judge. Now, there's another consideration. If this unit, for example, is full of balls, especially the smaller ones, like, you know, the medium, you know, the little guys, the white ones, like those, and if you have a lot of them in there, or alternately a smaller container, maybe half the size or a quarter the size even. And once that gets all, once it gets all charged up, I don't know if this will be enough to do it. Here's the bunny fur. Maybe we'll take the bunny fur this time. Sometimes the bunny fur works, and sometimes the hands work best. Starting to get a bit of action there now. But under ideal circumstances, I think the aluminum balls actually work better, don't they, Keith? And
yeah, they seem to be more active and jumpy and reactive.
I think my hands are as dry as they should be right now, but starting to get moving there a little bit. All right, call me a fibber. Okay, there's a little bit of action there, but what happens is essentially is you can use this as a sensor for the field. You can see how my hands interact with these balls. And once it's filled with balls, I was able earlier to put my hand down and the balls all moved away from my hand. So it left sort of almost a hand impression in there among the balls. So it made me realize that this whole system is sensitive to the human field, the charge, whatever that is in terms of, you know, what is the charge? That's a good question, maybe, Mr. Kesh. What is the charge that, you know, comes out that our body is able to interact with other entities with this charged?
It seems that your neutrinos are not strong enough.
Yes. We need a dose of neutrinos. You have to take your.
If you see, if you go extend this further to movement of the energies and fields, you can move glass balls. You can move glass tubes. It's just that you have to create the right field and you create the right condition for the fields to move and position themselves. Thank you very much, Rick.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Cash.
saw the presentation before, it was nice. Thank you indeed. Is there any other question? Because we passed into 3.5 hours.
We should probably wrap things up here.
Are there any other questions or any other points?
Mr. Cash, this is Boniface. Greetings.
Yes, good morning or good evening to you.
I have a quick comment and a wish. You were talking about the books a few minutes ago, and I recalled to some students, I think in the Sudan, that basically they could download the books because they wanted access to your books.
It's already been done. It's already been done.
Okay. The point I wanted to make was I did the same thing, and I got the first 2 books, and you know, I read the first, and I'm almost done with the second one, and I was very impressed with what I saw. But my wish is that perhaps the foundation could look into spending a little investment, and as far as editing, at least the English version, because I found
Did you get book number 1 or 2?
I got both of them.
Yeah.
And
the book number 1 is historical because it was written the way I wrote it. Book number 2 has been edited by a English language editor, which we had to change it once because she said, I read it, I wrote what I thought you were writing. I said, the editing is that you just find the mistakes. And the book number 1, the 2 and 3 have been edited by the same lady. And if you open the book, it says in front, thank you very much for editing. She's an English speaking, what do you call it? Editing, that's her job. And we had to stop some of it because she wrote what she thought she understood. And our discussion with her was, you don't write, and she had to do it the second time. So it's been edited. I prefer myself the first edition because it's got a lot of spelling mistakes or whatever in it, but it is very nice because it's the essence the way I wrote it. And that's why we did the second edition, and all the publications will go according to the second edition. But some people are asking for the first edition only because they want to read it the way it was written originally.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Is Ella there in the background, please? Is she awake? Because she was working late hours last night. Do you see Ella anywhere? Stanley, is she around? So she's not there. She has done the universal, what we call ID cards for, and for the banking system, and it looks more or less what we need to be, and hopefully she'll finish it this week completely. It's the process is ongoing. We are going to be there in the next steps with our issuing and developing these cards, and once it's completed and negotiation with the company which will be printing these starts, and we can completely finish the whole process. then it'll be issued in conjunction with a banking account for everyone around the world to be able to use it. I was hoping that she would be present today, that she could show it, or we'll see it next week once she submits it to the management team of the Keshe Foundation. If there is no other points, we would like to stop. It's nearly 3.5 hours, 4 hours into these teachings. Any other points or any other questions?
Well, I see there was a longer question in the Q&A. I think I probably got missed earlier. I'm not sure, it's getting kind of late here for another question, but do you want to take it on as a quick answer to it, perhaps?
What? I don't know till you read it. I don't see it.
Well, let me give it a try. Lauren asks, regarding the topic of vertical people, the souls of the cells of our human bodies are living in the spaceship of the human body, being fed by the higher dimension level soul, the consciousness that we perceive as I. At present, we humans are horizontal people because we feed by stealing energies from the same dimension as we live in, by eating, drinking, burning, etc. The point I wanted to make regarding becoming vertical people as humans is creation of the so-called Christ body, spaceship, the being that is formed by human souls as cells in a higher level body. Trees are already vertical people as they are fed by the energy of the sun, a being in a higher dimension compared to their soul. That is how I understand the terms vertical people versus horizontal people from an other perspective. Matter is fed by nanolayers. Nanolayers are fed by GANs. GANs is fed by free plasma. Layers or dimensions of a plasmatic filtering. Layers or dimensions of plasmatic filtering. And that's, so he goes on to say, the whole point is the evolution of consciousness, oneness. I see, went on here, the being called the Christ body is the one planet, one nation, one race. Some inspiration for the not 5% going into space. End of that transmission. Any comments, Mr. Keshe?
No, in a way, it's everybody take from the knowledge according to their understanding and what they feel it should be. Our problem is not. It's not a problem in so many ways. We have risen, we have enlightened so many with this new understanding of the structure of the science of matter and physics and plasma, that it's very, very strange. It should not be strange that we see right across the Keshe Foundation, from doctors to scientists to laymen to housewives to children, we all gathering the same knowledge for the first time, and we are elevating our own souls equal according to our prejudices and understanding. And when I listen to some of the teachings, when I listen to some of the workshops, and people come on and they say what they do, what their job is, and then before that we look at the knowledge they bring in, the soul they bring, the knowledge of the soul more than anything else, we see that I tell myself I have achieved what I came here for in so many ways, because every soul is getting enlightened irrespective of physical position and condition. And this is the beauty of the teaching. And this is in so many ways, what I said in 2005 comes to my mind in 2005, 2006. And this is what I said to the Belgium scientists across the table with my notary next to me. That was, I write my papers in a way that the black man in the back villages of Africa will benefit by it or understand it the same as a white man, professor or scientist sitting in front of me, that one cannot abuse the other one by the knowledge. And this is happening. We see it, we speak to different people across the world. On Saturday was a great pleasure with Dr. Wata to be able to speak to Kenya, and the knowledge understood by them as much as we heard from our Chinese friend in China, as our other scientists in Canada or Europe. This is the beauty of this knowledge. Transmission of it simultaneously, that everybody understands, and you, each one, take from it what they need, what they like, and what they enjoy to use at that time. And this is what we came here for. And this time around, as I said, by the time I finish my time and my work in this physical life, I hope I achieve to enlighten the whole of humanity, and the whole of planet soul. And we are in that direction. It's the beginning of a change, a lot of change. We started it, now we run into millions. And then the whole process is we becoming a force in the soul understanding, not any physical matter. Because as you see, and you've seen with us, there's been no punishment. There is no, if you don't do this, you have to pay, do this, you have to do that, you repent, and all these things has gone with, because we educate you to understand you are responsible for the whole lot, from A to Z. You can't blame Christ, and you cannot say Moses did something wrong and Muhammad brought something else. Anyone uses the term of a name of a religion from now on to blame the other, in fact, is for themselves to blame, because the religion has moved a step further to become the path of living through understanding of the soul. So it's very much, as I said in one of the recent teachings, Jews deny the Christian and the Muslims, because if they accept the presence of Christ, there is no Judaism. The Christians deny the Muslims and the rest, because then Vatican cannot make money. But they deny, but they accept the Jews because they came from it, and they call it New Testament. The Muslims deny the Baha'is, because if they accept the return of whatever they believe in, then it's the end of their people to make money. But they accept the Christians and the Jews because they wrote it on the back of, they came on the back of the belief of the other two. So the process goes now with these, what they call Baha'is. If they're going to accept the new knowledge that the soul of the man is over everything else, they deny the work of the foundation and everything else, but they accept the Muslim, the Christians and the Jews. And this is how now ends up. There is nobody for you to accept, to deny in the future, and not to deny the ones in the past, because you are the totality. You are the beginning and the end. So there is no more churches, there is no donation box to the God's bank account. And there is no fear of punishment of physicality, because now you know you are in charge of physicality. You decide through your own emotion and balance with the other fields how you position yourself. You call it a gift or you call it a punishment. Now from now on is your decision. And we come to that maturity. So you explain it either way you like. From now on, you are the Moses, you are the Jesus, you are the Muhammad, you are Baha'u'llah, you are Buddha, you are everything else in the essence of the soul. And what they have told you is wrong to do in physicality, Now you're in charge of the soul for it not to happen in physical dimension. Because now you understand it's you who will be positioned different to receive. And who likes to lose? So we can call it, we can explain it, we can define it, we can deny it, but there's not a line. The truth is the reality. We cannot change it. So how we explain it, how we put it in words, is how we would like to fit our physical body that we can handle it. So in so many ways, I came the right way, I taught the right way, and in coming time, there will be no more religion, except the temple of the soul of the man who is responsible for his conduct across the universe. When you go into space, there will not be another religion, because religions don't exist unless you are weak enough that you don't comprehend. You make the entity your guru, that he's more intelligent than me. But you understand he carries the same soul as you, the same understanding as you, who have to understand what he says in the level of the soul, or comparison in the physical dimension which you will manifest yourself. Our teaching is to be done with man believing he's below. Our teaching from the day one, we said when we take man to space, we take it equal to the others, that it does not become subordinate. And the only way you don't become subordinate is when you understand a man carries a soul of the same strength, the same level as every other creation in the universe. That was the meaning. Not that we teach you how to make a spaceship, how to do that or the other. Because the spaceship, the body of the man, has one driver and one source, and that's the soul of the man. And this is the whole purpose of these teachings, the whole purpose of sharing knowledge. For man to understand there shall be no more profit, because the profit of the man is the conduct of the man in respect to his soul and the other souls. So how much more can you explain?
Mr. Keshe, we had one question from Walja, who said, you mentioned the prophets of the past, and he'd like to know, before you said that, if the prophets of the past reached the point that they became or can become the man of space.
The soul on its freedom becomes part of universal community. Even though the body of the man in physical dimension, we are part of the universal community, but we are put, as I said, in quarantine. We are in a space, we're traveling at 1 million kilometers, 1,110,000, 1,600 kilometers an hour. And which space would you like to go to? Where would you like to be? The scientists, they tell us we travel 1,600 kilometers an hour around as day and night. We travel 10,000 kilometers an hour in the solar system, that's 11,600. Then the galaxy travels 100,000 in the galaxy, that's 111,600. And then they tell us the galaxy travels within the universe at 1 million kilometers an hour. So we are traveling at 1,111,600 kilometers an hour. And where are we traveling? If there wasn't space, and if you are not part of a community. But the problem is, we were hoping to land somewhere, but now we understand the landing place is our own soul. When we understand that, then we decide where to take this soul. Then there is no dimension. When you understand, as I've said in the teachings before, when you understand the work of the plasma in its true essence, what you call theology is part of it, because you become to understand the ethos of life in the universe according to the creator, which is me, which is part of it, has led to my creation. So that's very easy. Thank you very much for today. We're running to nearly 4 hours time. We're trying to keep that we don't go over the time of it. There'll be new progress, new advancements in the knowledge of understanding. If you like to ask questions or you listen afterwards and you would like to ask questions, write your questions to the webmaster at the Spaceship Institute, and we try to bring your questions on to be answered from this section, or we build a section for these people who you listen during after hours on different channels later on, or you listen to the translation of or transcription of the teachings. Right, send your questions directly to the foundation, and we try to every week bring some of it in if we can and answer it, that you don't have to be here if you have a question to ask, or you don't need to speak English. And I thank the transcribers group in the background with all the hard work which you do, and it's a pleasure to see you with all your funny faces you make. Thank you very much. See you next week.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you so much once again for another outstanding workshop. And this was the 192nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, October 5th, 2017. And as always, thank you everybody for attending. And I think we're going to end with some music here with Flint, I believe, has that ready to go. So please take it away, Flint.
Put it away.